everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode at 2.
Where's just the two of us?
Naturally.
Alright, so last episode.
This is what we're going to do in the next episode.
I don't know what happens this episode, but for sure
Next episode
we're finding Lucian.
He's going to be completely fine.
You know what would be funny if next episode I did, and I was just like, I predicted
foreshadow,
the future.
yeah. I mean, there's miracles can happen.
You're right.
Yeah, Lizzie McGuire wrote a song about that. Nope. In the Princess Diaries. Miracles happen once in a while. You think we'll get copyright?
Oh, yeah.
For that? Anyway, last episode, Tavumile got into town.
Yeah, heard some people banging. Also, which was the most hilarious thing to edit. I couldn't get through it without cry laughing, and I was sitting in the middle of a cafe editing this, looking like a maniac, crying, and I was like, listen, I can't have you guys listen to it.
Well, yeah, as you hear your best friend making the noises of doing it.
But then also the let it out, man.
I was telling my mom about this scene as one does, and I was just like, yeah, and Shay thought it was really funny, and I didn't really know why until I listened to it, and I was like, oh, no. That, and then because I was just like, I've seen movies about I'm kind of a loser. I don't know anything about parties, but I've seen movies about parties and solo cups and, keg stands and togas and stuff like that. So I was like, what happens outside of them? You got, like, two people making out, and then like two people, like a guy and his like frat bro, and the guy is just like, dude, I just still think it's fair, and the frat bro is just like, it's okay, man, they're helping each other through a rough time.
It's the epitome of friendship.
Yeah.
They have their own story that won't be
maybe it should be. Maybe that's what we should just pivot the whole campaign to be like, what's going on with these two guys?
Yeah, honestly.
And we never find Lucian. And he gets killed. I don't know.
No.
Anyway.
Anyways, yeah, she saw a guard in the forest, and then he was gonna stop her, and then she was like, nope, and thunder waved him, and then got a third eye, which is cool.
Briefly, for basically no reason.
And then, made it to the outskirts, and then decided to talk to some girls who were nicely gossiping. Got a little sidetracked by questioning feelings of some nature that Tavumile has. She's just like, I don't really know what these are, and apparently I think I have enough time right now to talk about them. Anyways, can I switch outfits with you guys?
And they were like, maybe, and then she was like, yeah, the guy that I'm talking about, he's the criminal, maybe.
Yeah.
And they were like, wait a minute, unfortunately, we don't want any of this smoke.
Except for Kelly.
Well, Kelly, I was going through a rough time, and, she knows what true love is like, and so she's like, and so she kind of gives you a little bit of a, heads up about what is going on with that, and you're like, oh, sick. A guard is like, hey, you're wearing a soldier's uniform, and you're definitely not a soldier. And you get him a little, frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
You managed to get through, though, despite that.
Yes.
You found some party goers, especially tall one, and you kind of bamboozled him out of his rather large jacket.
Yep. And he was mean. He was like, he hated Thalen.
He's a bit of a bullet,
reason.
yeah.
And so Tavumile, I think Tavumile probably would have given him his jacket back if he was nice, and then he wasn't. And she was like, this is timeout. This is like timeout.
Yeah.
You aren't allowed to have access to your jacket until you've apologized.
You get to be punished for this retroactively by a lot. And then party, or the ball we appear at, the boys kind of, and Yezi. The boys and Yezi sort of have a little like, okay, Fingers, Etheod, and Yezi are going to go participate in something that involves Ossen being seduced, question mark.
Question mark.
And Fingers and Etheod are like, okay, well, we have to go find a room that can take place in. And Thalen is just sort of
there.
He's just sort of like...
He gave Yezi his pocket square of...
alluring crystal, which she has tied around her neck.
Like a little hot rod babe.
Yeah, she's going to take it off and start to race. And then Thalen just sort of was just like, I'm going to be useful. And they're like, yeah, sure. Have fun with that. Yeah. What are you going to do? And he's like, I haven't come up with that yet. But when I do, it will be really
I think that Yezi was like, keep looking, keep keeping an eye out for Tavumile and or Lucian.
Yeah. And Thalen's like, I guess I can do that.
Yeah.
You guys have fun with your adventure. I'll just, old Thalen will be, out here if you need anything. No? Okay, that's fine. So that's when last we left Du Bois and Yezi. Du Bois were having deep, emotional conversations about mom and dad. Which we didn't cry at all.
Yeah, not at
all. So Etheod and Fingers are now in sort of opposite-facing closets in this room. And Fingers is, you don't know because you're not Fingers, but probably asleep or something, equally chilled out. And Ethiod's like, and now I am alone with my father. I love to be alone.
A mum. Perhaps now.
I have to stay focused, but I cannot because of recent events. Thalen is somewhere doing who knows what, and Yezi is slinking her way down the hallway.
Yeah, looking for us.
On a manhunt, as it were. Yeah, she sometimes does that, in her course of work, but it's not typically framed in this way. And as Yezi kind of steps out into the hallway, leaving the boys to their emotional time,
right,
all of a sudden, around her isn't the mayor's house. It's not the venue for the ball. It is somewhere that you have this image of Fingers kind of, wishing you good luck, kind of in the back of your head as you go to leave the room, his dumb, kind of like lopsided smirk. And you see his face, and it reminds you of the very first time you ever met.
Ooh.
This hallway that you're in right now is transformed into a dark kind of middle of the night. Everything's dark, dark wood, oaky, smoky situation. Jewel-toned carpets, jewel-toned stair runners, gilded doorknobs, fancy schmancy, but not here, and in sort of a different style. And you know what you're there to do. You're kind of, you duck quickly into the corner because you hear a rustling. And just before she'd be able to clock your presence, you see a maid carrying a pitcher of water and an empty cup on a tray.
Okay.
Just walk around the corner. You look kind of into the darkness, into the shadow next to you. You can barely make out the silhouette of your partner, who you're here on this mission with, as he winks at you. You remember the events from earlier that day, which had led you to this moment. And it wasn't often that you had to go to the Thieves Guild to pick up your assignment. But this mission was unique because it was a joint mission between the Thieves Guild and the Assassins Guild. So that's why you had to pick up your assignment there. You didn't know that your partner had beat you there. What's his name, by the way?
His name is, Ezrain.
Cool. So that'll be his real name, and then his code name will be Hale.
Hale.
It's like short, one syllable, snappy. Vain Hale,
Vain Hale.
Vain Hale. You hadn't realized that he had beat you there, actually. That was very like him, though, so it wouldn't have surprised you. And he walked past you as you were walking into the sort of customer-facing lobby of the Assassin's Guild to pick up your assignment. You see him walk past you, and he winks at you then as well. He had, in one hand, he was reading the piece of paper, and the other hand was just in his pocket. And you can see that when he looks at you and winks, he's not looking at you, really. He's just sort of beckoning you to come with him because he already knows what you have to do. As he kind of walks past you, walking out the front door, you are the girl who was working at the counter from whom he ostensibly got aforementioned assignment. Ducks down to get something, and you see straight through to an open doorway. And in this open doorway, there were 4 thieves. And what is notable to you is the specific uniform that one of them was wearing.
Okay.
3 of them just had on the typical kind of like mask, hood, cloak affair.
Yeah.
And one of them had on a balaclava.
Okay.
Would that be something that catches Yezi's attention, or is it...
I think so, because I think that the Assassin's Guild has a very similar uniform to the Thieves Guild. It's just like different colors to indicate like these are assassins, these are thieves. But we still have, the same kind of leather, light armor, same glove, boot situation, half mask thing, so that like it's just your eyes on top of your head is showing, and then a cloak. But I think because Yezi, half of her face is this like, opal, like bright opal, whatever. She found that one, she was told when she was younger that it was way too noticeable and that she needed to cover up all of those parts of her, and she never really understood what they meant about that. She thought that it was just like, oh well, I guess because I don't just look like stone, but like how many other people look like stone, so this doesn't really make sense. And then she found that the reason why is because it reflects light super easily. So if she's hiding in the shadows, the rest of her will be fine. But if, that half of her face happens to catch the moonlight just right, it can very quickly catch somebody's eye. And so she has also added an addition to her own, uniform of the half mask so that part of her is not showing at all. And so I think that anytime that she sees somebody also doing something similar, she's just kind of curious as to like, why do you do this? Also, what are you hiding?
Go ahead and roll a perception check.
Okay. I forgot how bad her perception is.
She gets a -1, right? Yeah. Soaks.
12.
No, that's not bad. You notice that the other thieves are kind of like, they're all sort of standing at attention, but you can sense a sort of familiarity between the 3 normal uniformed, normal outfitted thieves. And they have just slightly closer proximity together. And then the thief with the balaclava is just a few inches over, like, relative to the spacing of the other 3. And is looking, although he's at attention, is looking a bit less sort of sure of himself.
Okay. Can I roll insight on that?
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, specifically what I'm trying to figure out is if he is, like, acting in that way because he's, like, newer, if this, like, kind of grouping is, like, a, not initiation thing, but I guess that's the best word that I can come up with.
Yeah,
for
like,
it.
what specifically
Yeah, like
is...
a welcome party or something.
Yeah.
21.
Dang. So you can see from the armor, because the armor denotes the rank of the thieves, which basically, same type of deal. It's evident to you that despite the choice in balaclava, the rest of the armor is the same. So they're all the same rank.
Okay.
So it looks to be more sort of personal to him as opposed to having to do like a lack of confidence in his ability to get the job done, because 4 thieves of the same rank are being spoken to about the same mission.
Yeah.
You can't hear what the conversation is. But that's the sort of thing that would go on in one of these rooms. So you already are clocking that. But in order for you to know specifically what was going on, you would have to do something about it. Like go behind the counter and stuff.
You said that at the reception area, there's like a girl there that's handing out missions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk up to the counter. I'll be like, excuse me.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you could tell me, that person that is in that room over there, the one with like the face all covered up and all of that, what is his name?
She's gonna like rubberneck and be like, what the heck? And she's gonna look back to you and just say, what do you need to know?
I guess I don't really have to know. I'm just curious about what his name is. And she's gonna lie about this. I've seen him around, and never is that face showing ever, and I'm just curious as to why.
Well, I wouldn't mess with him. He's and as she goes to say that, you hear loudly behind you a familiar voice go, Yezi!
What?
Come on, let's go.
Oh my god, we have enough time. You even got here early.
It's always like you. Listen, if you liked the job, you would follow me. It's going to be interesting, I can tell you that.
The job?
Yeah.
And she's going to turn to the girl and kind of give her a smile, like a sorry, I gotta go smile. And she starts walking up there, and she's just going to be like, what do you mean interesting?
There's a good girl, and your partner is going to kind of put his arm conspiratorially kind of around your shoulder, just to be like, let's get out of here, kid. And you're going to kind of, he like had kind of was already walking back towards you because you clearly didn't pick up on the drift, that he was like, I got the thing, let's go. And so kind of as he collects you and you walk out, you feel his arm around your shoulder arm around your shoulder. And the girl kind of like gives you like a look before you go of like she was surprised when he called out to you. And she's gonna like kind of give you like an eyebrow raise, look back over her shoulder, and she's gonna kind of put her head down and like shake it while smiling.
Okay.
Like kind of like... if you want to interpret that, you can kind of as you're walking away.
8.
So she clearly was going to tell you something about this guy.
Yeah.
And you get a sense that she is sort of mocking him to an extent, or she thinks it's funny that you would be like, she's just like, don't waste your breath type situation. That's like, so Yezi's kind of thinking about it. What is that, what does Yezi think about that like interpretation of that gesture?
I think that it almost makes her more curious about him, because there's obviously something about that person that people don't think is worth knowing anything about. I think that when she thinks about people who are worth kind of investigating or finding more about, anytime that somebody's just like, don't waste your breath with that guy, they have a lot to say about that person and a lot to say about why they aren't worth your time. And I think that she finds that more interesting than like, other people where it's just like, oh, their name is this and here's some stuff about them. Yeah. Because she's like, okay, well, strong opinions mean that they must be doing something. Something that other people don't agree with, so... And she's going to turn to Hale, and she's going to be like, you always interrupt me at the worst time possible.
Interrupt you? He was literally mid-sentence when you turned to say that. And you see flash on his face the realization that you have not only not been listening, but now you're accusing him of having interrupted you.
Also, what does he look like?
I'm about to tell you. So as your head, because you were kind of like, looking like down in a way, as you kind of turn to face him, you kind of like take in his expression of just pure like frustration, irritation. He is an older guy, like in the 40, 45, in that kind of department. And he has like salt and pepper hair, like just starting to do one of those. And he has light blue skin. But you are not actually sure of his race.
Okay.
Because he is kind of covered primarily on his face, and kind of on his hands too, in just burn scars.
Okay.
So very like Assassin's Guild flavored guy we've got going on, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, and you, for whatever, well, actually, I'm going to ask you, whenever you are on a mission in which you are assigned a partner, you two always go together. Why is that?
Why me and him always go together?
Yeah, or why does Yezi, unless you know for sure, why do you think that you're always put together?
I think it's because the first time that we were ever put on a mission together, it was just kind of like a random thing. Like, it was just a one-off, like, you know, you two go together, whatever, same rank, same whatever. And as he kind of saw her, it's very obvious that she is a Genasi of some type. That's not really something that she can hide.
Yeah.
And I think that he realized, or have at least heard of, her family, specifically because Earth Genasi, you know, the Lakmai family is all Earth Genasis, and they're a really renowned assassins family. I think that he probably was like trying to get it out of her that she was part of that family. She doesn't tell anyone ever that her name is Yezi Lakmai. She tells him that she's vain.
Yeah.
And he, I think that after a mission took her to a bar of some sort, and Yezi had too much, and he asked again, and she's just like, yeah, I mean, of course, where else would I come from, you know? That would just be like a coincidence or something. And essentially let it out that she's part of that family. And so I think after that, she always, if she has to have a partner, requests for him, because she's like, you know something about me, and the more that I am around you and can monitor you, better, I think.
So it's you who are requesting to be put with him. Okay, got you. He is going to, just so you have a little more, salt and pepper hair. He's got like flinty blue eyes, like super blue, same, like similar color to his skin. And then the scars on his face, it's like most of his face is just scarredness. And it's like thick white, you know, like healed over blue skin scar type thing. And his eyes are, there's like scar tissue around his eyes as well. And so as you kind of look at him and he gives you that look, you hear, roll a perception check.
Okay. 10.
He's looking at you, or you're looking at him, and he looks at you to kind of, and looks like he's going to start talking again. And then he looks behind you, he looks past you, and you see him make kind of like a crazy smile.
Okay. I'm going to look to see what he's looking at.
So as he kind of, it's just like the like eyes wide open corners of your mouth turning up.
Yeah.
He is one of the only, you know this to be true, he is one of the only Assassin's Guild members who does not cover his face when he's kind of out and about.
Okay.
Because it's sort of like, why would I, when I am, look like this?
Okay.
It's like hiding, because my face is like like inherently looks like noteworthy or something. And as you turn around, you see like this mother and child, because you've walked outside, you stepped outside of the Thieves Guild, and it's like sunlight kind of dipping in between the two buildings. And as you turn the corner, and you're talking, he locks eyes with this child who is kind of being dragged by the hand by her mother and is just staring up at him.
Okay.
And he's making that like crazy face at her, and her eyes are just fully locked on his.
Okay. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to like push him and just be like, come on, knock it off.
Well, love, feeling feisty today, huh?
Shut up. And don't. And I think that he probably doesn't know, or at least she thinks that he doesn't know that she requests to be put with him. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, I don't know why I always have to do missions with you. It's such a pain.
Well, it looks like it's me and you against the world again.
You know, you don't have to scare every child that you see. Kids aren't used to seeing a face like yours.
Roll an insight check.
6.
You think you see him and he looks a little bit irritated. But and the reason that's noteworthy to you is because he isn't like that usually. Like everything is sort of a game. Like the little girl being freaked out by his face. And so when you say that he like, you can see like something flash in his eyes, like eyebrow twitches or something like
don't
that.
Don't be like that. That's not it's not a, insult to you. You just look unique, just like me. And she grabs the mask, pulls it off, gives him a little like, see?
And when you do that, he's going to put both arms up in front of his eyes and go, I'm blinded.
Oh my God, shut up.
My eyes. Oh, goodness. How did you even become an assassin? He's like leaning up against the wall with his arms crossed.
Yeah.
And you can see that his kind of next to his side, like he's leaning up against a corner of a like alleyway. And he's gonna kind of like thumb you in that direction, like just stick his thumb out and point down the alleyway.
Yeah.
And then just like head first kind of duck in between some buildings and kind of like beckon for you to follow.
Okay. I'll follow, and I think I'll say, oh, what an interesting question. Anyways, what are we doing?
Oh, you want to get down to business all of a sudden?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, eventually we have to.
Well, I mean, no, you're usually trying to avoid it.
Well, what do we have to do?
He's gonna like laugh in a kind of like familiar way. This alleyway that you're walking down is very just like like the Thieves Guild isn't necessarily the most well-to-do part of town. So it's like slummy, like lots of in places where there's no like city planning, but people are trying to dry their laundry, that it just seems like there's laundry freaking everywhere. And there's just like broken awnings, like trash, general refuse on the street, and just like posters for stuff up that have been like pasted over posters for old things. And Hale kind of like nudges a rat away with his foot as he kind of like continues. And he says, well, this one's an anonymous contract, and I know they all are, but this one really is.
What do you mean it really is?
Well, usually me and the director like this, and he crosses his fingers.
What, you get him to tell you who put on the contracts?
Of course I do.
Why would you do that?
What do you mean, why would I do it?
Why do you want to know?
It's fun, innit? Just a bit fun.
I don't think it's fun at all.
You don't understand. Anyway, the point is, it's, I told you it was interesting, right?
Right, you did. You've said that multiple times.
You're a bit spicy today, love.
Oh, sorry. Can you not handle it?
Ooh.
Shut up.
And he's gonna like, he's walking, you're kind of like facing his back, and so he's kind of talking just straight out into nothingness, and then when you say that, he kind of like looks over his shoulder and gives you like an eyebrow waggle. Well, anyway, well, the guy's name, and this is a person that you would know, by the way, that he's about to say, is a local businessman of ill repute. Because he's a huge, like, known jerk. Is Asian Truth.
Really?
Yeah, no relation. Well, I mean, the first name is similar.
Yeah, I would assume that there is no relation.
Well, old press suit and cufflinks himself. seems he got himself in a bit of trouble. Turns out he's found time in his busy day of, general rudeness, pinching girls' asses at the dented euphonium, to be a bit of a bloody dirty criminal. It's a big shocker there. Who'd have funked that?
Yeah, well, I think that everyone.
You're no fun, you know that. Anyway,
I'm not trying to be.
We're gonna kill the guy.
Great.
And while we're there,
Right.
Turns out the Thieves Guild are gonna find out why we're there doing it.
I'm sorry, what?
I know, a bit of a, circular logic there. Anyway,
Why doesn't the Thieves Guild just ask? Aren't the Thieves Guild and the Assassin's Guild, like, in
sometimes, Yezi, he's gonna, stop and look over, turn around. Sometimes, Yezi, you're a bit thick, okay? Maybe it's all them late nights at the dented euphonium, eh? They should have brought you there in the first place.
Right.
You gotta get with it, How many have you had today? And he's, snapping in your face.
She's gonna, smack his hand away.
Well, listen, nobody knows. They're gonna find out why we're there.
Okay.
And they aim to find every scrap of evidence that the evidence proof. Anyway.
Yeah, there's the same thing.
Yeah, that the guy is a bloody dirty criminal, and set it all up in smoke. He's gonna roll his eyes.
Why would they want to do that?
Well, you see, he's gonna put an arm around your shoulder and bring you in close. He's laughably taller than you, especially because you're
5'4".
Yeah, you're 5. Okay, he's not. Maybe he's not that laughably taller. I'm 5'4" and Shay is 6 feet tall. So he's gonna pull you in and say, "I don't know where I lost you. He's a criminal. There's proof of that in the house.
Right.
They're gonna find it,
Right.
set it on fire, and cover the whole thing up."
Why would they even want to do that?
Well, because, the guy's got connections.
Right. Well,
to the Telenthi, Alenthi, oil family, Ray.
Right.
Bit of a stain on their name if they find out they've been fraternizing with someone who would do whatever it is he's doing. I don't know.
Look, but he's already going to be dead, right? Are they going to stop us from doing that?
No, it's part of the job.
They want him to be dead.
Yeah.
Why would they want him to be dead?
Who would want who? I told you it's an anonymous contract.
Right. And it's truly, truly anonymous.
Yeah, I don't know.
The director doesn't even know.
No, I mean, he knows, but he wouldn't tell me. He might not know. I mean, it would have to come from somewhere. Listen, why do you care? I know you only care about one thing.
Oh, and what is that?
The cut.
Right.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's the only thing I care about.
That's my girl, and he's gonna kind of guide you around another part of the alleyway. Yeah. You're aiming for the Assassin's Guild. You're aiming for the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah.
So as you kind of go down the series of alleyways that kind of take you there, he's guiding you in that direction. What is it? They've never even come see you, have they?
Who has not come see me?
The people you're dutifully sending money back to.
Why do you want to know?
I just mean I feel like it's a waste of time, innit? It's your money. You're the one here doing the work.
Yeah, I guess I am doing the work.
Yeah, you better listen to old Hale here. You're wasting your time.
I think it's a lot more complicated than you know.
He's gonna roll his eyes. Roll insight.
Okay. That one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. So when he rolls his eyes at you, something about Yezi's not really feeling it. She's never really feeling it, but something about today. Is there a reason in particular that she's just over everything right now?
I think that the fact that she knows that this person is being basically like extinguished as like existent, for the sole purpose of protecting a royal name, I think is even more so she doesn't want to help that or like facilitate that happening. I think that she's just like, I already don't want to kill people, and I already have to do this to literally survive. And now it's not just killing somebody that maybe I could possibly, and I think also the fact she can't even try to spare this person because she has a partner.
Yeah.
So that is already off the table. So she already is going in this knowing that she is going to have to kill this person because otherwise he's going to know what she does. And then, you know, the layered effect of, okay, and then this is also aiding in a royal family. You have to answer to your consequences when they come, and this isn't doing that.
Yeah. Because basically, Hale is trying to communicate to you, like, we're going to go kill this guy because he's a criminal. But also, we're going to destroy the evidence, like, that he was, just so this family's name is not besmirched. Yeah. You do this thing where you lop off people's body parts, and so that you can bring back evidence that you've killed them. Right. And then you kind of let them disappear, and so you get your money without ever having had to kill anybody. Is that something that you have 100% for sure hidden from Hale, or is that something that Yezi thinks she's hidden from Hale? I can roll a luck check to determine this.
Yeah, because I think she thinks she's hidden it from him.
Okay. Do you want to pick the DC?
Sure.
28.
Yeah, actually 40. I would say that she's very, very careful about it. And I think even when she like gets drunk or anything like that, it's something that's so deeply ingrained with her, knowing that like if this out of everything about me gets out, I'm dead. Like it's gonna get back to my family, and they're gonna know that I'm like disgracing the name of, you know, like our assassin creed, and the next morning I won't be waking up.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think that the DC would probably be 15.
Okay.
If we're making it, you know, a 1 out of 20 check, I think it's going to be 15.
Cool. So,
I love when I don't get to know.
You don't get to know. When he says this, like, you know, are you sure it's really worth it to send all this money home, do all this work for people who he's never seen around? And you rolled a nat one. Yeah. You interpret it badly. Okay. You know, something about it just really gets your goat. You know? Like, what is it about it that makes you so angry? Like, does Yezi know, or is she
think that she's mad because she's like, you already know where I come from. If you want to know anything else about it, just find out yourself. Quit asking me, because I have already made it clear that I don't want to talk about it, and you keep pushing it. Yeah, I think that's her kind of demeanor. Got it.
Because he's kind of like crowding in on your space a little bit, because he's trying to be like, you know, we get each other, I'm looking out for you, we get each other type thing. Is there anything that you do as a response, or is that just your emotional response?
I think that she kind of crosses her arms and takes, you know, a step back, and she's like, I don't understand why this matters so much to you. It's not your money. You're still getting your cut.
Don't get your, you know, panties in a twist, love.
Oh, shut up.
Okay, well. Anyway, no mess with you today, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose not.
Well, the plan is we bump the geezer off, make it look like an accident, and, you know, you're back at the old euphonium before Viola even knows your seat's empty.
Great.
How's that sound?
Great. When are we doing this?
Get this fully, like, earlier irritation forgotten. Before you ask that question, though, give me, like, a nice little perception check.
Okay. 2.
Wow. Like, unnat 1, 2, or like a number 2?
Number 2.
Okay. Yeah, technically got a nat 0 before. He's like turns to kind of like look at you, and he like gives you like a look that he looks uncomfortable when you're kind of like blowing him off and stuff like that. And when he turns to kind of like look back at you, you kind of get the sense that you don't really know anything about him or his family. And you get the sense suddenly that there's something about his way that is really he asks you a lot of questions, you know, and he's like talking about you and your family and stuff like that, and you don't know anything about him really. I mean, you know that he likes to drink and he smokes, and you've been on missions together, and that he's, you know, interested in you, but you don't know anything about him at all. So there's this sort of like off-balanceness to your relationship. Like he knows things about you, but you don't know anything. He has you at the disadvantage because he knows way more about you than you do about him. So you feel kind of like endangered to an extent.
Why don't you tell me anything about you? You're so interested in me. You never say anything about your family or what you are doing here, how you ended up looking the way that you do.
He's gonna like give you like a eyebrow raise, but the eyebrow that isn't raised is like scrutinizing, like angry kind of, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, what's there to tell? You know."
What do you mean? What is there to tell?
Oh, what do you think? You know, I have no family.
I don't have any family. Not married. Not have any parents.
He's gonna like get kind of close to you. He's like, "I'd be careful, Yezi." And he's gonna turn and kind of keep walking.
She's gonna follow and be like, "Be careful about what?"
You know, you might be stepping into something you don't want to know about.
About you?
Yeah, about my, you know, twisted life. And
your twisted life. It must be so extreme and dark.
Exactly. Now you get it.
Yeah, right.
You know, you should be afraid of me.
Oh, should I?
He's like looking at you with like, you know, like when people smile with all of their teeth showing?
Yeah.
He's like doing that with you.
Okay.
And he's got this kind of like one eyebrow permanently raised kind, you know, thing. Like he's like teasing you a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything worse that you can do to me than what I was already born into. So, not ever going to be scared of you.
Well, goodness. Getting a bit heavy this morning.
Yeah. Tell me one thing about you. Something that is not, generic. I don't want to know your favorite color. I want to know...
It's purple.
I don't care, really.
He's gonna like... You're kind of weaving through these, you know, alleyways. You're getting kind of progressively more and more slummy and nefarious coated, and like you're at a point the buildings are so close together that no sunlight is really peeking through.
Okay.
You're going kind of down into this alleyway, but Waypoint Town is semi-hilly. It's in a valley, so it's kind of valleyed itself as well. And you're going kind of down into the split of the earth, and he's gonna like you're still kind of going in that direction. So when you say, like, tell me one thing about yourself, you're still, like, following behind him. He's going to take a cigarette from behind his ear that was just hanging out there.
Yeah.
And he's going to light it. So, you know, kind of like whatever. He's going to take, like, a drag of it and say, I like smoking. And
that
just going to keep...
so generic, and I already knew that about you.
Why do you want to know things about me all of a sudden?
Why do
curious.
you want to know things about me?
You know, looking out for you.
Oh,
Hale, you know?
You are looking out for me.
Yeah, you know. I know a bit about you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you know?
You know. I hear things.
Hmm.
I told you me and the director were like this.
And what does the director know?
Nothing.
Why would you mention him?
He doesn't know nothing. He thinks he knows something, but
What does he think he knows?
don't you worry. He's gonna like punch your shoulder and say, "Oh, hell, put him right."
Right.
Cigarette puff in your face, like a circle.
Yeah.
You know, like just like in your face.
And she's just like staring daggers at him, being like, I don't like it when people talk about me behind my back.
Listen, I shut him up.
You shut him up.
Yeah, he hears things.
What would he be hearing about me? The only person I've ever told anything about is you. So unless you're going around telling people stuff.
Roll persuasion.
Okay. 19.
Roll a 19?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pose it. Screw you. I'm posing it. I'm gonna pose it with his constitution. He rolled a 4.
Yes.
So when you kind of say that to him, you see in his eyes that he was looking at you like you guys were doing a little, tete-a-tete, like going verbal, toe-to-toe type affair. And when you kind of say that to him, his kind of eyes change a bit and he looks at you kind of differently.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look at you this way that he is now very often.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a look of familiarity, like a comfortable familiarity.
Okay.
Like your presence is something to him.
Okay.
Not that he's ever articulated anything or you would have any way of knowing, but he stops looking at you so like cheekily.
Yeah.
And is looking at you like he's like you're someone to him, whatever that means. And it kind of flashes on his face for a second, and then you can see as he begins to talk, he's struggling to make it go away and bring back his earlier panache.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, there was an incident. Just shifted eyes, looking around.
An incident?
Yeah, why don't you come with me a moment?
Mm.
And he's gonna pull you into the alley of the alley.
Yeah.
It's just tiny, like black cat, friggin', big metal trash can in the way type thing. Go ahead, roll a stealth check.
Okay. I forgot she gets a plus 13 to stealth.
Does she?
Yeah.
What did you roll?
27.
Okay. You're good. You're good by a lot. Hale is just barely good. And as he kind of pulls you into this alley, he realizes at the last second that he's holding a lit cigarette and smoking it.
Uh-huh.
And before he decides to have this covert ops convo with you, the moment before he pulls you into the space between these two buildings, he's going to drop it and stamp on it.
Okay.
So that there's no way anyone would ever be able to pick up on something going on. Because you two were relatively, it's not like you were being particularly ostentatious or anything. But, I mean, he's sort of ostentatious in and of himself.
Yeah.
Blue guy, burn, whatever, face out. And you, to an extent, are. You're less noteworthy than him.
Yeah.
But he's going to yank you behind these buildings and he's going to say... He's like looking around again. He's going to say, word got back to the director that, what was your a couple contracts back, who were you killing?
Who was I killing?
Who were you killing? A couple contracts back. Or who were you supposed to kill?
I think that it was some random... nobody who somebody had, a
bone to pick with. Mm-hmm.
And had no description as to why he wanted him dead, had no really reason. And she shows up to the house and it's like the most normal home ever. And she's like going to do this thing, but she's talking to the guy to be like, here are your options. You get to either disappear or die, whichever one. And I think he starts telling her that he, just pissed somebody off. This is the only person that he could think of. He, doesn't do anything in particular, that he has a family, like, wife and kids and stuff. And I think that she was just like, okay, this is the most, this
baddest
person,
situation.
like this person paid so much money to, put a hit on this guy for no reason at all. And so I think what they worked out together, at least what she hoped that they worked out together, was that he was going to disappear that night, never come back here again, and she took his pinky finger.
Okay, so that's what happened. Hale's like leaning in. He says, the guy.
The guy?
Yeah, in the kind of, residential district, sort of atypical.
I think that she kind of like thinks back a little bit, and she's like, oh, what, the one that was like a nobody, that somebody just put a hit out but didn't have any reason, anything like that?
Yeah, well, apparently, sometime you're not hearing it from me,
Right.
but someone told someone
Right.
that they saw him.
Saw the guy that I killed.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
They even said he was missing a pinky, which I know that's sort of something you do.
what? Take that back as proof?
Yeah.
Well, we all have to do that.
Well, yeah, but there's something noteworthy about it. That do you do pinkies often?
I think it's that she does fingers often.
Okay.
Because she's like, anything else might not be pleasant to live without.
Yeah. Typically
Right.
you take a, bit more. You're one of them conservative types.
I don't see the point in it.
Well, anyway, I heard from the director he had some suspicions, but I got your back and I put him right.
As you should, because it is not true.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You see, so when you're acting all, ungrateful, just want you to remember that.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, getting angry with me and stuff. I got your back.
Right. Maybe don't use that descriptor again.
And so when you kind of say that, he's like putting back on that I'm cheeky and life's a joke kind of thing. And so what is hearing that? How does Yezi feel about this revelation?
Terrified. I think that she knows that there is a certain level of risk to her doing this, because especially when people have families and stuff, she thinks in her head, they're not gonna want to just leave them, even if they do leave, the possibility of them telling their family why they had to leave, and then their family spreading that and all of that. But I think that for the most part, that has not been an issue, and she chalks it up to the threat of death being greater than
a solid.
Yeah, especially because I think that she will tell them, if I see you, the second time will be the last. And kind of lets them interpret that in how they want to. But she makes it evident that she is not willing to put their life before hers, but she is willing to give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that for the most part, that's been effective. And this is the first time that she has heard of maybe that not working.
Mm-hmm. And so you're kind of like trapped in that while Hale just kind of steps back out of the lobby. Go ahead and roll performance to see how evident it is to him that you are not loving life right now.
6.
Okay, so what does Yezi do that makes it clear to Hale that she's thinking about this a lot?
I think that she has her arms crossed and she's like staring into the like the wall of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of like takes a deep breath and like closes her eyes and kind of like makes a face of like scrunching her face up, just being like, oh, everything is so hot. Everything sucks so much.
When you open your eyes, Hale is fully turned to face you, and he's looking at you with like kind of a mixture of concern and amusement.
Okay. But
oh, nothing. You know, you just seem a bit stressed out.
well, have you heard rumors about you not killing people that you're supposed to? No.
He's like, when you say that, he's like looking around like
Yeah.
friggin'. Roll a insight check real quick.
Okay. 21.
Holla freaking Luya. when you say like rumors about you're not killing people, like all of a sudden he doesn't ever do an emotion that is genuine. Like they're all like created in a lab to be whatever. Like he's just like, I'm gonna be, this guy.
Yeah.
When you say that, he looks so afraid.
Okay.
Like, so afraid, and is just, like, looking around and, like, one step away from just covering your mouth with his hand. He's like, Yezi, you gotta be quiet about these types of things. What do you think I'd drag you into the alleyway?
Look.
Something could happen to you if... Let's just go. And he's gonna,
I'm
like...
well aware of that.
And he's gonna, like, look at you, like, frustrated by your... lack of tact, and what was sort of like a playful tete-a-tete has become like stony, irritated silence.
Yeah.
As you make your way back to the Assassin's Guild to prepare for the events of the evening.
Okay.
And the next time we see Yezi, she is slinking through this hallway of this guy's house. Just watching the maid kind of walk down the hallway around the corner, just after Hale kind of gave her like a wink. And so she's gonna go. What's kind of her move that she's gonna make from there?
I think that she knows the lay of the house. She knows where the room is, and she is going to wait until the maid is no longer within sight, and then kind of nudge Hale a little bit to indicate that she's going to continue forward and to tell him, in Thieves' Cant to watch her back. And she's going to, slink towards the room.
Okay, so when you say that to Hale in Thieves' Cant, he's gonna look at you and put like a hand over his mouth and stifle a cough.
I'm gonna like widen my eyes at him and be like, and say in Thieves' Cant, you need to stop smoking. This is going to blow our cover.
He's gonna like kind of like nod his head a lot while laughing, while coughing, while trying to do it silently.
Yeah.
And moves from his like face in his hand to his face and his elbow and is like really going through it. And he just starts like waving you on.
Freaking Yezi kind of just like palm to forehead and then continues forward, rolling her eyes.
He's kind of like head to the side, in his arm, like just waving you on, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, let me figure this out real quick. And you're making your way kind of down the hallway to where you have intel that the office is. As you do that, roll a... Do you think when Yezi is on a mission, is she just like head down, get it done, figure it out, especially when she knows she has to kill her mark? Or do you feel like she's kind of distracted by her dislike of the job? Like, what is her mental state right now?
I think her intentions are to get it over with as fast as possible. So I think that she is trying to be as efficient as possible so that she doesn't have to prolong this experience. So I think that it's very like, I have the mission in mind. It's almost like, wow, she's a superior, it's like an amazing worker. She gets her jobs done quick and clean and whatever, and it's because she hates it so much that she's just like, I can't do this any other way.
Okay, then roll me a disadvantage perception check.
6. Great.
I rolled a nat 1. So you're focused, like pure, like you're going over the steps of the mission in your head like a worry stone. Just like, we gotta do this. This is the guy. I might see some thieves. They're here to destroy evidence. Life is bad. Frickin', for all intents and purposes, at least at the moment, Hale is useless. Yeah. Presumably he's watching me. Maybe he isn't. That would probably be better, honestly. Yeah. And while these thoughts are kind of like the background chatter of your head, while you have this just singular focus on killing this guy, you hear the voice, a voice which you have not, to your awareness at least, heard before, just slightly gasp. Just like...
Okay. Where is that coming from?
There's a room, the door is slightly ajar, like ever so slightly, just like sliver of door. Just like, if I shut these doors, they're gonna go, and then someone might hear levels of just left open. Yeah. And it's beyond that door, and also within Nat 1, you see beyond that door just like light doing one of these, just like a flicking, back and forth of just like pure orange light. Okay.
And is this the room that I'm supposed to go into?
No, just a random room.
I'm gonna sneak up to it a little bit and peer in through like the sliver of the door to see, because I think that she's like, well, either this is a thief or this is a person in the house. The gasps. Have they seen me?
Yeah. So when you do that, roll a stealth check.
Okay. 16.
I don't even need to look at his plus. When you do that, you kind of have to like, to do any meaningful looking, you have to kind of like push the door open slightly, like with your head to get your eyes around the corner. And you see in the corner of this room completely just black darkness, which is something that you are accustomed to. It makes you feel, safe and secure in your element. Cutting through this darkness is a candle light. You know it's a candle light because it's flickering, a match at least, some sort of fire light. You can tell it is fire because it's flickering, but you can't see it because it is behind a piece of paper, several kind of pieces of paper kind of on top of each other, held up by a hand that is glowing. It's the like defined around it are these just black gloved fingers as they hold up this paper. Roll a perception check.
Okay. 16.
There should be a couple more fingers.
Okay.
Kind of strange the way that this is coming across. It's just something that you pick up on, and you see the papers like light up, flickering, and behind them, slightly lit up too, kind of like underlit, like horror movie spooky story time, like chin and all that. Is a balaclava clad face with two big old eyes just like staring, wrapped in whatever it is that he's reading.
Okay. I think that she is like, that must be what they were talking about when they were getting briefed earlier today. Well, at least I know that he is here. And she's just going to kind of back up and go for her initial target.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As you continue back down the hallway, by this point, Hale has functionally recovered.
Yeah.
And he is much closer to you than he was before. And when you back up, you kind of back up into him. And as your body hits his, and you can feel, even underneath, like, his armor, you can feel, like, strangely, and it's always been like this. There's something, like, cold about it. Like, his armor is always so freezing cold.
Okay.
And so you know, even without having to look, that it's him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, nice, but still you back in him. And as you kind of touch him, you feel him kind of tense up and jump a little bit and look at you and kind of give you, like, the get together eyes.
Yeah.
And he's gonna, like, look at you like, what the fuck is that about,
I'm gonna, like, say in Thieves' Cant to him, the thief in that room, no big deal. And then continue going forward.
As you kind of go forward, Hale's gonna kind of give you, like, raise an eyebrow and, like, give you, like, a weird look, because it's like kind of like a wry look.
Okay, she narrows her eyes.
Do you want to roll anything about it, or are you just gonna keep going? Okay, roll insight.
13.
It's a look that you have seen him give to you before when he's feeling kind of, like, playful.
Okay. I think that in Thieves' Cant, she's going to say, don't even try anything. Let's just get this over with.
He's gonna look up at you and just be like, "You're no fun." He's gonna say it out loud because he doesn't care. That was fine that he said that. He was super fine that he said that out loud. And as you kind of, like, do you keep going forward?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you kind of, like, make your way down the hallway, everything's cool. You kind of can hear, just because you're attuned to it, the soft kind of, like, padding sound of Hale's feet following behind you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you don't hear that anymore.
I'm gonna kind of glance behind me a little bit.
When you do, he has pushed the door open slightly and has his kind of head, like, sticking into the door.
Okay.
And you can hear him go.
She's just going to lower her head and kind of resolve that she's gonna have to deal with this first. And she's going to go forward and kind of, like, grab his wrist and pull it towards her.
Hale?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's kind of, like, head around the thing, like, knocks on the door frame. Roll a perception check with disadvantage.
Okay. 4.
You're rolling like absolute trash.
I know.
Holy crap, switch dice. Like, switch, this is agony, dude.
I've already have 3 times.
You've switched?
Yeah.
Dude, it's not in the freaking cards right now, apparently, in the dice. Cool, so as you do that, is Hale gonna know that that's something that you were on your way to do? Nope. So he's got his kind of, like, hand holding himself up in the door frame.
Yeah.
And he's got his, like, head picking everything, knocking on the door frame. You grab his wrist, and when you do that, he, like, is very surprised by it. And you can feel him just fully tense up, kind of swing his own self the rest of the way out the door. And he's like, because he's being pulled by you in that direction.
Yeah.
So he's trying to stop his momentum, but he's, like, a centimeter away from you, just, like, fully just trying to not run into you.
Yeah.
But also looking at you like, what is going, like, freaking. And when that happens, he's, like, looking at you, like, completely surprised by your thing and just like, what? You scared me, kind of, but, like, trying to hide it a little bit.
I think that she's going to say out loud, but in, like, hushed tones, being like, quit messing around. I just want to get this over with.
It's just a bit of fun.
I don't care. I don't want to be a part of it.
He's gonna, like, kind of, like, blow crap out his nose.
Yeah.
And then put his hand on his mouth. and
God.
just like walk in front of you and just like keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So now he's kind of taking point. Are you following after him? Okay, cool. So as you follow after him, until a point, the rest of the night passes without incident. You know, everything happens just like it's supposed to. You're ticking off boxes. You find the guy. And then the memory is from a couple years ago, probably exactly actually 2 years ago. So it's there. It's hung around in your kind of Rolodex of killings because of the unique nature of the situation.
Yeah.
Because everything seemed to be going great, and then all of a sudden, smoke started rising and filling the third story, which you all were on. When that happened, I mean, your job had been done.
Yeah.
Killing the guy, making it look like natural causes type affair. And then all of a sudden, you heard the sound of kind of like creaking. Everything around you getting really warm.
Okay.
You remember... You put your hand on a doorknob, because at this point, all you're trying to do is get out. You put your hand on a doorknob to open the doorway to go into the hallway on the second floor, and pulling your hand back because it was so hot.
Okay.
You couldn't get your hand on it.
Oh, fuck.
And all of a sudden, you know, why would this be happening? There's some sort of incident that has occurred. And having to leave out a window with Hale in tow, who at this point was not loving life on account of the smoke in the air, and is like breathing through like a part of the cloak that he never wears is like up in front of his mouth, and he's like trying to breathe. And you had kind of him slung over your shoulder as you finally found some window that you could open quietly enough. You know, at this point, it really didn't matter because anybody who saw you would think, oh, someone's going out a window. Me too. Yeah. Sounds like a great idea. And you see kind of as you make your own way out the window, you turn your head and lock eyes with a thief, who you know is a thief because of the armor. Yeah. Who's also making his way out of the window. You kind of turn to look at each other, and Hale kind of gives like a bro nod, you know what I mean, to the guy who just like turns his head and just jumps down onto like a nearby tree, just anywhere that's gonna escape. And as you leave this house, do you look back at all, or are you just fully focused on...
I think I'm just fully focused on getting Hale out.
Okay, so you have him kind of like arm around your shoulder, and he is large, he's tall as heck, and you're little, so this is really some gymnastics that are going on. And you guys like get down from this roof. You know, there was a shed, a fence, trees, lots of means of escape, and it didn't matter really how stealthy you were about it, because at this point they're just people pouring out of this house. Because it's a large estate. You know, there's servants, there's his family, the whole nine. And a thought crosses your mind that, man, we didn't have to go through all that trouble. Yeah. We made it. We did such a good job making that guy look like he died of natural causes, and now
I think that she's like pissed. Yeah. Like she's just like cursing under her breath, just being like, "Fucking, if I
was wrong." Like
quit
over
talking. Oh my god, you're going to make it worse.
He gives you like a thumbs up, and you guys just kind of like lumber off because he really can't, like, you know, you can't breathe, you can't freaking run. You like lumber off into the darkness. And is there anything you want to say to anybody, Hale? Any thoughts that Yezi has about the affair?
As they're lumbering off, she'd be like, "The thieves are going to burn down the evidence. I didn't realize they were going to burn down the whole fucking house."
Hale opens his mouth to respond and just coughs.
Yeah.
He's just like, just like fully losing it. And the image of this, the eyes of the thief being lit up by the fire of the match while he was holding the pieces of paper. The circumstances are different, but it's the same eyes that were kind of wishing you good luck when you were about to, step off into your new mission to find your new mark. Not necessarily someone that you will need to kill, but you're prepared to nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice for the first time when you saw his eyes that night, you saw kind of like the area around like upper cheeks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That there was it was like freckled, yes, but clear.
Yeah.
And now it occurs to you that there is a slight scar on his upper cheek that wasn't there the first time you saw his eyes.
I wonder where he got that from.
Like when you go through a time,
mm-hmm.
and while you are living your life and getting things done, you are also forever going through that time again and again.
Yeah.
That's Yezi right now as she's like walking.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to put words in your mouth, her mouth, you know what I mean? So you can veto that, but I feel very like that's the...
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I think also she's just like, I have forever been doing stuff that I don't want to be doing, and now I'm finally doing something that might be good. It seems as though it might be good, and that look in his eyes when he was reading those papers, which I assume probably had stuff about what he was doing, he seemed aghast or surprised that somebody could do something so bad. And I don't think that a genuinely bad person would have that reaction. So he must have good intentions. I think that she's just kind of thinking about that, because I think she doesn't want to kill people, and she's kind of very cavalier about life. Like, she doesn't care about what it is that she's doing as long as she's not having to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
And she understands that sometimes it's a necessary aspect of life. She's had to come to terms with that. But if she can live her life in a way that avoids it, or at least makes it so that it is justified rather than pointless, meaningless killings because she just has to do this so that she doesn't, get hunted down, then she would much rather do that. And, she took this initial contract because she had to, that has turned out to be something way over her head, that she didn't want to kill this person, and then she tried not to, and multiple times she tried not to, and then it didn't work out, but he still didn't end up dying. And now she's kind of found, coincidentally, the other half of this story, and is almost like for the first time being allowed to choose her own path, like, I don't just have to be on the Assassin Guild side on this. I can help on the other side, and maybe I can figure this out.
And retroactively bring meaning to this, my skills and abilities.
Yeah.
And as you kind of walk past these two guards who you had to get past, in the first place to find this room, the light of the ball and the music and the dancing, everything kind of like snaps you back into yourself, where you are, and the mission even more so kind of crystallizes in your mind. We got to find this guy. Is Yezi want to do it because she wants to help Fingers? Or is she, because she doesn't know this guy at all, other than she tried to kill him earlier today. Is that really her motivation? Or
I think that it's a mixture of things. I think initially she still really doesn't want to kill this guy, and if she is on the other side, she doesn't have to do that. But also, maybe she would have more manpower, as it were, to convince this guy to disappear. You know, like, this is what I was trying to tell you. This is what we can end up doing. And it would be better for you and for whoever this girl is, if you guys just get out of here. Like your farm's already gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, what home do you have to go back to? It's burnt to the ground. And so I think that she's just like, I can convince him of this more. I can also continue living my, you know, quote unquote assassin life, because nobody knows currently that I'm working with these people. I think also she's so over her life, like, you know, having to follow these orders and then same spiel every time, and then having it not work sometimes, and then living in fear, and just kind of, it's kind of like every day is the same kind of misery. And she's just like, this might be also misery, but it's a new kind of misery.
Shake things up.
Yeah, you know, make it a little interesting.
Yeah.
And then I think also, she, you know, has a liking to fingers. She, even though she's finding him incredibly annoying right now, I think that she's still like, you are interesting to me, and also you're nice. You care. Every man that I've really ever had contact with has had some weird things to say to me occasionally. You're like the only one that really doesn't get it at all. Yeah. Which is refreshing.
Yeah, so as you're kind of snapped back into the mission at hand, so you have to find Ossen.
Right.
Where does Yezi think he would be?
Well, I think she's up on a balcony right now, so I think that she's going to do like a scan of the crowd to see if she can find him at all. It's particularly probably the, like, looking at the dance floor with, you know, intention, because he wanted to dance with her. And I think that she's probably like, if, you know, he still wanted to get friggin' laid, he probably would have found some other kind of girl.
Yeah, way to go about that.
Yeah. And then also the bar, I think that she's kind of focusing in on those two areas.
Okay, roll an advantage perception check. You could probably use this.
15. I got a 16 and a nat 1, so 15.
Dang, bro. What is going on? Cool. So, you said you were looking at the dance floor in the bar? So you kind of have to do like one of these, like, dip your body over the side of the balcony and look underneath you to see the bar, really. And you see, you know, the bartender before, you know, chatting up the whatever, making a heck of drinks, all that good stuff. You don't see anybody in any of the seats, but you do see a familiar, you know, smarmy looking face. And, you know, uniform ceremonial showing rank, kind of posted up in the corner, looking like he is looking for someone. That expression is very sort of like the sort of like hackles up, like scanning the crowd from off, you know, in the distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that she takes a deep breath. She's just like, freaking face.
Everything's fine.
I think that she takes a deep breath and she's like, well, hopefully I can do this. And then she's going to go towards that area, but as she's walking that way, she's going to grab a drink from one of
just
the
any tray.
Kind of take a swig of it, but have enough of it in to show that it still has like alcohol in it. And she's gonna make her way towards him.
Okay, so you're going down the stairs, you know, you're making your way through this crowd. At this point, it's like devolved from like everything's very, you know, everything in its place type situation. The dance floor is the dance floor and the seating area is not, to everyone's dancing everywhere and sitting and getting drunk and drinking. You know, everything is everything. There's no like designated locations.
Yeah.
And all of the Weftway soldiers look so stressed out. They're just like looking at each other like, oh, you don't, okay, I suppose that's fine. When is this bloody ball going to be over? It is reasonably late at this point. You don't know how late. If only Fingers was here to look at a strategic like hole in the wall to be like, oh, it's 9:30, you know. But it is late into the night. Been partying for a while, and you're making your way down these stairs. And you see. Still Ossen in the corner, still kind of scanning the crowd. And are you trying to be stealthy as you approach, or are you just approaching?
I think I'm just approaching.
Okay.
And I'm kind of adopting like a tipsy demeanor a little bit.
Okay.
Like not blasted drunk, but like kind
Roll
of
it with advantage then.
like stumbling a little bit.
Great. So as you're doing that, Ossen, who is scanning the crowd, you notice as you can kind of see him in the pockets of people, you know, when someone passes from in front of you, you get a glimpse of him because you're short before someone steps in front. During those brief moments, you can see that every single time you enter what you think is going to be his eye line, he is looking somewhere else. It is as though he is on purpose trying to avoid looking at you. Like, it is so uncanny. And each moment you try and do something about that, he's looking somewhere else.
Okay. Well, I'll still...
Because of his awesome check he just rolled.
I'll still keep approaching
with
him.
advantage. Cool. So, as you approach him, literally at this point, he's like, okay, well, I didn't see anybody in the crowd, so I guess I'm going to look up. He's in the balcony. And as you kind of walk up to him, what are you doing? He is unaware. You could kill him right now and he would have no idea.
Maybe
like
I should
staring straight up.
I think that she has drink in hand and she goes up to him and she's like, it's just the person that I was looking for.
Oh, my goodness. Gracious.
You're all right.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's certainly impressive. And he's going to, like, hand on his heart, just, like, take a step back and say, it looks like I underestimated you. Goodness. And to think I was looking everywhere for you. You were right here the entire time.
Looking for me?
Yes, you know, I wanted
to... What a coincidence. I was looking for you as well.
Oh, were you?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to, like, offer his arm.
Okay. She's gonna take it.
Shay throws him in her mouth. And he's gonna kind of like walk you off into a more secluded area and say, well, it seems like we have much to discuss.
Well, you know, I just wanted to give you an apology. Earlier today, I was being bad and I lied to you.
You lied to me.
Mm-hmm. And she takes a swig of her drink and she's like, yes, you know, I wasn't actually here with anybody. I just said that because, well, I hate to admit it, but I was intimidated by you.
This guy is eating this up. You can tell you don't need to roll. You can see that he's loving it so much.
I was intimidated by, you know, your status and everything, and I think just seeing you in your actual uniform really solidified that in my mind. But I have a spot that maybe we could work this out in. You
have like a drip of martini kind of like, you know, on your lip.
Yeah.
It kind of goes with the whole maybe I'm hammered thing, and he's going to take his thumb and just like get rid of it.
And she like lifts her chin up towards it.
Snap.
She is practiced.
Yowza. And he's gonna be like, well, this definitely sounds, right up my alley.
And she kind of like lays her hand on his chest and kind of just like plays with, the buttons or whatever.
He's like, well, not here, it'd be untoward for a man of my status to be seen.
Well, you wouldn't have to be seen if you just come with me.
All right. And he's gonna kind of, because you are taking his arm, he's gonna kind of like release you to show him the way, and he's gonna kind of like put his arm out and bow a bit.
Like hand down her forearm, drag it into his hand, and grab his fingers, and like lead him up to where, or at least like go in that direction to go up to where she has the room.
Roll a perception check.
Oh my god! 3!
You feel him kind of like turn a bit, but it might just be that he's kind of like adjusting his grip in your hand.
Okay.
And anyway, so as you keep going up these stairs, you just are you gonna like say anything at all to him before you kind of get him in the room, or what's the deal?
Can I ask why it was that you were looking for me? I thought I made you angry.
So right now we'll say you're kind of like going up the stairs, like looking over your shoulder to tell him this. And he's going to say, well, my dear, I wanted to ask you how you did it.
How I did what?
You know.
Not sure I do. I've been drinking a lot tonight.
It's even more impressive then. Would you just want to hear me say it?
Maybe.
Well, it seems like the target has been eliminated.
Oh, you mean Lucian?
How does she say that? Does her voice kind of shake at all, or is she
fully...
okay?
I think
we can roll performance.
I think that she kind of goes like, "Oh, you mean?" and then like swallows a bit, like pauses, and is like, "Lucian," and tries to keep it together.
Okay. See this nat 1 performance roll where she grabs her pants.
Nat 20.
Oh! Holy crap, like fully one or the other. Okay, how are you salvaging the just like, because I imagine like, her, when he says that, because he's complimenting her, and it's sort of part of the charade.
Yeah.
Just like icicle fear in her body.
Yeah.
How does she cover that up?
I think that she's like, "Oh, you mean," and she pauses and she realizes that she's like, oh my god, as like the fear sinks in. Because I think that she was playing this part, like, trying to block her brain out to be able to do this and not throw up. And then he says this and she's just like, "Oh yeah, you mean," oh my god. Like, fuck. And she realizes that she pauses and she's just like, what would I do? And like mimics like a hiccup. Like she's,
oh, snap.
Like kind of drunk or whatever. And so she's like, "Oh, you mean," I'm sorry, Lucian?
Yeah, who else would I and listen, don't get me wrong. And he's like following you up the stairs. And he's going to say, I wasn't given all of the details. I just, I heard that he is no longer a problem, and I thought maybe you could describe to me exactly how you did it.
Would you like that?
Unless you don't remember.
Well, maybe you could jog my memory.
And he's gonna like put a hand on like the small of your back, which is the worst the worst feeling known to humanity.
Freaking Yezi grinds her teeth.
like, I'm not gonna make you roll performance because that 20 was so nasty.
Yeah.
And so he feels you kind of tense up, and he's gonna take that in the worst possible way. I'm gonna let you determine what that. Anyway, so he's gonna like kind of, but he's doing it in like a respectful, drunk lady on the stairs, like make sure she doesn't fall over.
I'm sure that he is.
Yeah, because he's a gentleman. Okay, I'm gonna go, do some tongue soccer with this drunk girl, and you get to kind of like the top of the stairs, and you see these guards kind of down there, and they're roll a perception check.
Okay. 5. But I'm done being perceptive.
Yeah, jeez, I mean, friggin' when it counted, though. Like, Yezi used all of her friggin' Dragon Ball Z power in this one Kamehameha wave. You kind of see, like, you see these two guards, and you get this feeling of, like, okay, they're for sure gonna know who this is. I already talked to them. They're gonna put 2 and 2 together and find out the reason for which I needed this room. Yeah. And so you kind of like, you're kind of cowed by this, and you kind of like put your head down. You can feel the whatever rock shame, whatever a rock does when it feels shame. It's like goes through your body. Like, how does she feel this feeling physically?
I think that like you know how like you pick up a flat stone on a warm day and it's really hot and like whatever. I think that she kind of feels that way, and she's wearing gloves, so if she wasn't, I think that like Ossen would feel her hand get kind of hot
and be like, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Cool. So like you can use that to your advantage too, even though gross. So you kind of like put your head down. You're kind of like, shut up, everyone. I'm gonna have to really wear this mask 24/7 after that. And so you miss the kind of like sideways glance these two guards throw Ossen's way as he like waggles his eyebrows a little bit. And you can see the guards kind of make a big show out of stepping away and letting you through. I want you to roll another performance check, so it's not just like grabbing this guy's hand as you stamp angrily down the hall.
13.
Okay, so you're doing a reasonably good job. I mean, it would make sense that you were maybe a little bit embarrassed about it. Like, listen, I gotta bang this guy tonight in this house at the ball. Okay, I just have to. I know that it's embarrassing or whatever, but we have to do right now. Take me now.
We were the two people.
Before. And so the two guards, you can tell, are like bros, and they're just like, "Don't worry, boss, we won't tell anyone." Like, they're giving him the like, you deserve it. It's been hard for you, and Ossen, you see that kind of information pass, and they're just like, good for you. I'm so happy for him. And Ossen's like, thank you guys, I appreciate it. He's like giving him like a nod that's like, you're not going to tell anyone. Great, excellent. If you need me, don't. And then just like keep walking after you. And he's gonna kind of like change his grip in your hand a little bit and kind of pull you back towards him. Are you gonna resist it at all, or are you gonna like let him kind of do that?
I think that she's going to kind of like twirl around a little bit and like laugh and grab his other hand, as in like a no, you have to follow me kind of thing, and is like walking backwards with his two hands in hers. He's
gonna like look into your eyes, and you can see his like kind of like cheeks are flushed and stuff. He also had a couple drinks to drink, so he's looking at you and he's like, "What's the rush?"
There is none. I just, don't want to talk about this while there's other people around. I like to be a little bit secretive.
Well, I mean, That's understandable, of course. I mean, you know, I would expect nothing less from a girl, a classy lady like yourself. But I will say, and he's gonna like, kind of like turn you around. He's like, it's fortunate that I have my best men on the case. Give us a bit of a, you know, a break, as it were.
What do you mean? Do we make it to the door?
You're like at the door when he says this.
Okay.
And,
I'm going to open it and...
Click. Talk now.
Yeah. I think that she's going to open it. And like, even if we're not in the room just yet, like if he's like hanging out in the doorway, at least hopefully Etheod and Fingers can hear.
Okay. Roll stealth with
For
advantage.
Etheod?
Yeah, for
Okay.
Etheod.
21.
Okay.
For Etheod.
Yes, he's rolling perception.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
8.
What is she attempting to perceive?
Whether or not they're freaking hidden.
Okay, so from when you go to open the door, you fling the door open. You don't see anybody.
Okay.
From a cursory glance, I'm gonna roll disadvantage perception. Well, actually, what's Ossen's passive perception? Because he's...
I think that she is, God. I think she resolves in her head where she's just like, I don't want this. Like, but I gotta make sure my buddies are safe.
Yeah.
So she kind of reaches up and grabs his face and brings it down to hers and kisses him, but pulls him back into the room to like lead him into the room.
He was mid-sentence when you said that, because you were just like, what are you talking about? And he was like, the two new top. And you're fully kissing. So now I will, instead of passive perception, I will roll a disadvantage perception check for him.
Sick.
Because, yep. Well, one of them was a nat 20, but it was disadvantage. He's a horny guy. He's a horny, kind of tipsy guy who has the hots for you established. And you're pretty compelling.
Yeah.
But foremostly, he is a soldier.
Yeah. And
he is the head of the rogues.
All right.
So he knows a thing or two about hiding. And so when you go to kiss him, his eyes were kind of like wide open because you surprised him.
Yeah.
And as right before he goes to close them and kind of like wrap you in an embrace, he sees ever so slightly one of the closet doors are ajar.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees a tiny little bit of movement.
Okay.
As though someone is recoiling in disgust. You know, for example, and he's going to, when you, right before he shuts his eyes, oh, gross. Oh, I did it. Oh, bad.
Also, when Yezi does that and pulls him into the room, she's going to reach her leg out and kick the door shut.
Oh, to this closet?
No, to this room.
Oh, okay. To the room.
Yeah.
Got it. Very cool. So you kick the door shut, and he's going to kind of like go in like he's going to embrace you, and then kind of just put his hands on you to brace himself against you, because he's going to do a little investigative research.
Okay.
And he's going to kind of like pull you apart from him.
Okay. Sorry, I know that I interrupted your sentence. Who do you have on the case?
Well, my dear, give me just a moment. And he's going to start walking over, kind of like doing like a lefty-righty eyebrow raise, like towards this closet where we saw the something that Yezi didn't see.
Okay.
I could have sworn I saw.
She's going to walk up behind him and wrap her arms around his waist and kind of like tiptoe reach up to her mouth being right next to his ear, and she'd be like, is something more compelling than this right now?
Roll persuasion.
For the love of fuck. Please, maybe don't roll this one anymore.
By the way, he rolled a 22 perception
Holy
check.
shit.
With disadvantage.
Oh, I have alluring charisma. I forgot about that.
That's right. Oh my gosh. We are nailing this whole Dungeons and Dragons thing. Add a +2.
Okay, 19.
Does performance use charisma?
Yes.
Throw that episode in the garbage. Fortunately, all those other performance rolls were so
great.
trash that it really doesn't matter. So what did you roll?
19.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was rolling freaking 5s. Like,
yeah,
what was that
listen,
gonna do?
hey, listen, come to my house and kill me, okay? Freaking, what was it, 19 or something like that? Okay, cool. So he, like, looks at you, like, kind of, like, takes one look over at the door. And he said, he like, looks back at you and says, well, I suppose, you know, we do have a break, but we don't have that much of a break, you know. I think that they'll be able to handle it, but I suppose we ought to get down to the task at hand.
Is there, like, a couch or anything around, like a chair or anything nearby?
Yeah, there's the couch that Etheod and Fingers were crying
Oh,
on.
yeah. Okay.
Roll
I think...
perception real quick.
All right. Unnatural 1.
You're not even sure if it's a couch. Yezi has never seen furniture before. You are getting drunker than you meant to. And this is your confirmation that that is true.
I think in her head she's like, fuck, I overdid it.
Oh, no.
But I think that she's just like, this is a flat, yep, this is gonna work. And she's going to kind of like push him down onto it and climb into his lap and be like, what do you mean that they can handle it? What are you talking about?
And when you say that, he's still kind of like looking, he's like conflicted. He's just like, well, like, he's like looking at you and looking kind of over in that direction.
Yeah, and she's gonna realize that and kind of have her hands on his face to like tune them into hers. And it's just like, you know, thumb on cheek, kind of like brushing like her thumb on his cheek, just to be like, you don't need to look around. What are you doing looking around?
He's gonna be like, well, why don't you tell me the story of, you know, how you did it in the first place?
Right.
I mean, from what I heard, he's gonna kind of like, what, you're like sitting in his lap or something like that. He's gonna kind of like part you guys a bit, because he's like, we've got to do this the right way, you know, like the dignity, you know, like I'm not some, you know, schoolboy, I'm a soldier. And he's like gonna be really like, you know, about it.
Yeah.
And he's gonna kind of like sit up next to you, still very interested, but kind of like, I am curious, you know, about this stuff. You know, from what I heard, he put up quite a fight.
Yes, he is a fighter. I want to know what people are saying before I tell you anything that might skew your memory.
Well, you know, all I had heard that he was, it's not really sort of the point anymore, since that problem's been dealt with. And he's gonna do like a stretch arm around the shoulder type thing. Roll a perception check.
Okay. Nat 20. Finally.
You hear, because you like Fingers a lot.
Yeah.
You're attuned to his kind of behaviors and motions.
Yeah.
The absolute, just clear as day sounds of him going,
oh my god,
in the closet. It does not, however, appear that Ossen has noticed it at all, which is shocking to you. Fingers probably thinks he is being quiet. You can tell he's kind of like, you know, but it's so loud to you because all you can think about is, you've already screwed it up.
Yeah.
Don't screw it. And so you're like, half of your brain is over there where Fingers is. And
I
you're
think
just
that she's in her
"Bro."
head. She's like, I'm going to kill him after this if I fucking survive.
Is Etheod just kind of like...
I think
I'm
Etheod's just staring at this, like, wide-eyed, being like, what is happening? I don't understand what any of this is. This is weird. This is very, very weird. Also, what are they talking about?
Uh-huh. That's the more important thing. I got to focus on that. And Ossen is, after he does that, he's gonna be like, well, oh, yes, it's not really sort of the mission anymore, as it were. The problem has been dealt with. Now it seems as though we have, clearly you're already hot on the trail of one of them. You said you were lying earlier.
Right. Oh,
He's good. He's like waggling an eyebrow,
Yeah.
like I'm. Ossen put 2 and 2 together. I know what's going on. You don't gotta explain no more.
right. The looking for the thieves.
Exactly. I really did underestimate you. You with that fellow you were with earlier.
Right.
But you didn't. It seems as though that he's, rather slipped out of your fingers.
Well,
He's gonna like grab your hand and start playing with your hand.
oh God. You know the thieves are skilled like us. They just don't happen to kill people. Can I ask? I wasn't told why they are being sought after. Do you know why?
Were you not? That's quite surprising.
We are hardly ever told anything.
I was told. Where did you get this information from?
Well, fuck.
Roll a performance check with disadvantage.
That one?
Are you serious? Oh my gosh. The moment he says that, just your mind grinds to a screeching halt. And you stop being, a woman. And you turn completely into a rock. You are a rock and you have 0 mental faculties. You've never thought a thought in your entire life. And when you say, all of the sort of like, dripping like appeal that you're playing up goes away entirely, and he sees like the crack in your own, skin that reveals the like opal beneath. Just complete breakdown of the of this mask as the idea of the ruse kind of crystallizes in your mind.
Yeah.
And he's gonna sort of raise an eyebrow at you. He's just kind of like staring at you like confused.
Yeah. I think that she's going to like shake her head a little bit and continue to try to play this off. But like I think that she is like, if anything happens, this guy's getting a knife to his throat and hopefully the 2 come out.
Yeah.
And so I think this, like, she had her weapons on her this whole time. And it's hard to hide knives in a dress. So I think that she fashioned it to where, you know how Fingers had freaking like knives in his boots when Kevin met him. She's fashioned that, but like in her sleeves, so that it's like kind of just like you flick your hand out and you have your knife ready. And so I think that she's just kind of like, keeping that in mind, where she's just like, anything freaking happens. And I think that she just kind of like laughs and rubs her eyes a little bit, and she's like, I'm sorry. I'm just really drunk right now, and it's hard to remember anything.
He's gonna like get a little closer to you and say, it wasn't you, was it?
What wasn't me?
You're asking so many questions about it. I'm a fool. I should have seen it before. And he's gonna kind of like get cold a little bit and kind of like withdraw from you slightly. And he's gonna say, well, I have to say, once again, a disappointment.
Right. Well,
I figured you'd know where he was, seemed reticent to tell me exactly how it all went down.
Right. Well,
Why would you lie to me about something like this? You're just trying to impress me.
is that so bad? Wanting to impress you?
I suppose not.
Right.
Well, I have to say then, you know as much as I do about what happened to him then.
What do you know? Because, honestly, all I know is that the thieves are being looked for. That I am actually working on. If you haven't, put that together with why I was around that one.
Are you working on that?
I am. I'm one of the best people to work on it, because I know one of them.
He's gonna kind of look you up and down and go, well, I have to say, so far, I'm not overly impressed.
Well, I think that finding him tonight will be easy. He is, supposed to be at the ball. He's supposed to be stealing stuff, but thieves have a keen eye. I don't think that he is here anymore. And I have a few guesses as to where he might be, but I also know that he will probably lay low for a little bit tonight before he maybe goes to those places.
That's quite interesting. What makes you think that he would leave? Do you believe that he knows he's being looked for?
Well, I think that it would be reasonable to assume that he does. Thieves are pretty tight-knit, I would say. And it wouldn't be surprising if, one of them felt bad for him, told him, maybe even more than one, but pretending like they don't. I don't know. Thieves know a lot more than the assassins do.
Well, regardless of what he knows or how he protects himself, I'm sure soon enough he'll join his friend in, I don't know, the bottom of a well, an unmarked grave, whatever it is they've done with him.
Right. Why do they want him dead? Like I said, I'm not told anything.
Roll a disadvantaged con save for Etheod.
Holy crap, what the fuck? 4. Holy crap, why am I rolling like shit today?
I don't know. Yar, though. When Ossen says that the thieves are going to join their friend soon at the bottom of a well or an unmarked grave, what noise does Etheod make and why?
I think that he just inadvertently goes, no. Like a very quiet no. And I think that it's because he just got shown the prospect that maybe somebody could love him. And
oh my gosh.
And he mentioned to Fingers, well, Fingers had said to him, hopefully we survive this. And then he hears the fact that he's wanted dead. And he's just like, you're going to rip this out for me right now? You're going to rip this out for me?
Because no. So he just goes, no.
Yeah.
You want to roll perception to see if Yezi picks that up? We'll see if she gets better than a 4.
2!
Really?
Holy crap. Holy crap.
So when Etheod says no, Ossen is gonna, like, kind of, like, turn his head a little bit and say, excuse me, did you say something?
Well, I asked you a question.
But did you say no?
Yes.
Roll a perception, performance check with +2, since now we play
yeah.
in D&D all of a sudden.
9.
9 with the +2?
Yeah.
All right, do you have any more dice? Here, we're switching. Give me your trash. Cool. So, he's gonna, like, look at you. Well, I'll roll him a perception check. When you say that he's gonna look at you and say, he's like, he had kind of, like, gotten a little bit, chilly when original Nat one. He's gonna get a little more chilly, and he's gonna kind of, like, look at you funny, because you could have made this noise inadvertently. He didn't roll high enough to be like, there is a tiefling with his horns cut off in that closet, and also in the other closet there's a lot going on. But he rolled high enough to clock that there was something interesting about your delivery of, I asked you a question. Ooh, is it hot? Is it hot in here? Is it just Yezi? And so he's going to look at you and say, you know something. What do you know? What are you playing at?
What are you talking about?
Why am I here?
What do you mean, why are you here?
You're asking so many questions. You're behaving so strangely.
Look, I don't like being out of the loop, alright? I know about the thieves, I don't know anything about Lucian, and I, honestly, am rather scared of Lucilius. He had quite a tongue lashing for me last time.
Roll a performance check with advantage.
22. Please be good. 22 is so high.
He rolled a 23.
Holy shit! What the fuck?
It's so close. He's gonna look at you. He's gonna, like, kind of, like, raise an eyebrow. Like, he's not... You can tell that he's been satisfied a lot, because that was a good line. But part of him knows that there's gotta be some other component to it. And so he's not gonna regain his former kind of, like, comfortability with you. But he is gonna put sort of a like, employee-employer relationship, like, hand on your shoulder. Like, very different vibe from the before vibes. And say, you'll have to excuse the major. He hasn't been quite himself recently. I feel actually quite bad for him.
Why do you feel bad for him?
Well, it seems that his, I don't know why I'm telling you this. Just don't take it to heart. You shouldn't be afraid. I mean, unless you're, on purpose trying to sabotage the mission or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Roll performance.
9.
He rolled a 24. Is 9 with the +2?
Yeah.
Straight up?
Straight up.
Okay. When you say, no, why would you think that? He's gonna, like, fully stand up.
Okay.
And when you kind of say that, he stands up kind of out of the couch, and he's, like, looking at you kind of like a cockeyed expression on his face.
She's gonna stand up too.
And he's looking at you, and he's like, I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm not interested in being a part of it.
I'm not playing any game.
What is this about?
This wasn't about anything at all. Purely just wanted some physical company tonight.
He's gonna, like, he's kind of, like, crossing his arms, and he's going to kind of, like, contrapposto. He was like 50-50, now he's kind of leaning to one side, and he's gonna like give you like a looking at you, eyebrows raised, like, really, that's all you have to say? You know, clearly something is going on. He's going to say, did you even know about the new targets?
What, the thieves?
Who told you about them? Where are you getting all of this information? Selective information.
Look, part of my profession is to not tell people everything, right? I'm not going to talk about who told me what I got handed to me. I don't, sometimes, like in this instance, I don't even know who it is that is telling me. I get passed by a party, I get handed some kind of envelope, and then open it up and it says one name that I recognize, 2 thieves being looked for, and that they're wanted dead. No information as to why, and I just have to do it.
Do you know their names, even?
I know that one of them is called Fingers. I don't know his real name.
He like snickers at it.
Right, and then the other one is like Mr. E. I wouldn't even know their real names, so there's no point in telling me them.
Well,
do you even know my real name?
He's gonna like raise an eyebrow as though to say, no, maybe I do. Regardless of my personal reservations regarding your extremely specific behavior, you are still, at the moment, part of the mission, it would appear.
Right.
I suppose you can get the rest of your information regarding the targets from your contact, the identity of whom you refuse to share. And he's going to, like, get up. He's giving you full suspicious eyeballs.
Yeah.
And he's just going to start kind of backing out of the room.
I think that she is just going to sit down on the couch and cross her arms. And then kind of just, like, head tilted towards the ceiling, but kind of just, like, in her peripheral watching him walk away. She's just going to ask, I just have one last question. Why did you assume that it was me who did whatever delusion? Did you have any proof of body or body part at all?
No, I just, he was really your target. I mean, we were all looking for him, but I foolishly assumed that you would be the one to finish the job.
Right. So you were just told that he was dealt with, but you asked for no proof.
The information I received was from one of Major Farith's men himself.
Does she recognize that name, Farith?
You can roll history.
Okay.
We'll make it like a 10, 1 to 10 you do, 11 to 20 you don't.
10.
Okay, so you do recognize his name. And he's obviously Wefthwaite Major. He knows, he's acting the same capacity as Frenthius. But with it, I'll say, because you were kind of like, it was 1 through 10, so I guess 10 would be right before not knowing his name. You know him by name, so you know pretty much just that about him, because your really commanding officer is, in this mission, Frenthius.
Yeah.
So he might have mentioned him in passing.
Farith, not Frenthius?
It seems that Major Silius was detained at the waypoint.
Detained?
Yes, I mean, I don't know the details, but it seems that Major Frith is not too happy about that that's for sure.
A major getting detained at the waypoint.
Well, it seems as though he was on his way here, and there was some sort of, I don't know. Like I said, he's been out of sorts recently. Don't let that bring into question his authority or capableness as a soldier. But I just mean to say that he's been a bit... Anyway, the point remains that my information is perfectly reliable. I know I have no need to question the source of my information.
And you hold on to that.
I shall. And he is going to kind of curl his fingers around the doorknob of the door and roll a perception check.
Okay. 14.
Wow, that's actually kind of good.
I know.
While you were having this conversation, Ossen was looking at you. You were looking at Ossen. And as far as Ossen was concerned, there is a lot of you that he is trying to understand. And that requires focus, mental faculties that would otherwise be utilized for, say, rolling good perception checks to see if thieves were sneaking out of closets to do something about him leaving.
Yeah.
And so as he kind of puts his hand to kind of wrap it around the doorknob, he feels fill his hand, the beloved hand of a thief.
Oh shit.
And it's interesting to him because he's held many a hand before. He's held your hand earlier tonight, beloved as it was.
Yeah.
This hand feels slightly different in a way that he's not really sure he's able to put, if you will, a finger on. And as these fingers kind of interlace with his, you see in his face the revelation, and that's all you see from your vantage point is a hand reach up and become the doorknob ostensibly for him. And as his fingers interlace, absentmindedly almost, because he was extremely focused on your conversation, he's going to pull his hand up, filled with this new hand of this person.
Yeah.
And as he does that, he looks at it and looks in between his fingers, in between the hand, like interlaced with his, into the eyes of a crouching individual who looks up at him and says, "Hey."
I think at this point, freaking Etheod, while this guy is looking down at fingers, I think that Etheod is going to try to sneak up also behind him, but not quite touch him, just kind of be at the ready, just being like, if anything freaking happens, I can jump on this guy, because, you know.
Cool. So go ahead and roll. We'll say he's pretty distracted, so an advantage stealth check.
Heck yeah. And I think also Yezi is gonna say, like, because she, your freaking disappointment.
Yeah, no, tell me what the thing is.
Okay. 23 for Etheod.
Okay.
And then I think that Yezi, like, she notices that fingers and all that is going on, and she still, like, has her arms crossed, is still staring at the ceiling. She didn't make a move, and she just said, "Alright, sorry, I lied again," and just kind of, like, says that.
So Ossen is gonna kind of, like, see fingers, feel in his hand, as fingers crouching is kind of, like, giving him, like, a, "Hi, nice to meet you," kind of, like, dumb look on his face, like, this is like a surprise party, but not a fun one. And Etheod's just gonna kind of approach him from the other side.
Yeah, like, behind him, kind of, like, you know, daggers at the ready.
Ossen, the moment he realizes that he's been bamboozled to an extent, like I said, foremostly, he is a soldier and a rogue. You rolled a 23?
Yeah.
He rolled a 25.
Holy shit. So close.
When you go and you kind of like clink, clink, like daggers out like behind him.
Yeah.
He's got some tricks up his sleeve as well, literally. And a dagger that he had in his sleeve just sort of materializes in his hand, and he's gonna slam it into the wall right in front of Etheod before he approaches. And from that moment, we are going to...
No, we're not.
We're going to...
Oh my god. Brother, you're gonna kill me.
Etheod's been there after his conversation with Fingers. Left alone with his thoughts for a good long while. And then even during sort of the beginning part of Yezi's confrontation with this guy, had in his mind sort of like, is this how this is done?
Yeah.
You know, like distraction with that. But, you know, his focus was split. And we know that because when Ossen said they'll join their friend, for mostly in Etheod's mind, he was thinking about his conversation with Fingers about how all of a sudden there's a chance that someone would love him or want him or something like that. So he's sort of batting that out of the way as he tries to be a good stealthy thief.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of time to think about this new information that made him so emotional in light of his kind of story and his kind of... It's kind of like set against this bright thing, against the dark background of his time in the Odazer clan and the not so fun way in which he left.
Yeah.
So sitting in this dark closet while this is all going on, you know, there's, you know, slivers of light where the closet door doesn't exactly perfectly sit. And that's really the only source of light kind of peeking through this darkness. Is there something that those slivers of light remind Etheod of, like about his past?
It reminds him of when he was caught the first time ever stealing that apple, because I think he was kept in a for all intents and purposes like a shack, like it was just like a hut. It was made out of, you know, thatched together sticks, like upright sticks that were like, you know, dug into the ground. It had a door, no windows, and a thatched roof. And so the parts of the wood and straw and all that weren't so closely together, he could see out of, like see light out of. But the rest of the room was just dark and there was nothing in it. And he just was kind of sat there, occasionally hearing people say stuff outside, you know, whether it was about him or not, just kind of waiting for whatever they decided that they were going to do to him.
And just like while you're waiting in this closet to see kind of what happens, you were waiting then. The same type of situation, just for whatever was going to happen to you, which you had basically no agency. I mean, now at least the door can open.
Yeah.
You could open it. But in the same kind of way, you have been incorporated into this plan, not necessarily against your will, but not with the consideration of you to an extent. You know, like, you are involved in this plan because of your own sort of interest in it. And now you've been implicated in something that also had anything to do with you, you know? So in the same sort of way, you don't really have agency, just like you did then. I mean, you could open the door and then you would get maybe killed or you would blow the operation. So in the way that before you were trapped by literal bars, now you're trapped by kind of complex social boundaries and laws that you're coming up against now.
Yeah.
And just like I imagine Etheod would have done in this, you know, prison, quote unquote, just like he's doing in the closet, I imagine he would have daydreamed to an extent, get his mind off, what else is there to do? What was something that, were Ethiod's parents kind of like never around, or were they around and just not parents?
It was that they were around, but it was always kind of like he got the sense that he was more of a nuisance than anything else. And he never really had any friends or anything that he could kind of commiserate with and be like, does this happen to you or whatever? And so I think he just kind of came to the like not realization, but like concluded in his mind that this was just how parents were supposed to be. They were just supposed to be cold and distant and never really interested in anything that you're talking about or anything that happened to you ever. And you kind of just had to always figure out everything by yourself. And I think that's why he stole the apple in the first place, was because he's just like, I'm so hungry and I'm not being taken care of at home, and this is one of the things that I was told, like, it's my responsibility to figure this out. I don't know how to do that, so, and I don't have money and I don't know how to get any, so I'm going to do what I know could work, which is take this.
What is something that Etheod would kind of do around his neighborhood, just in his, he's a kid, so all of your time is free time, but to an extent, I don't want to make any kind of political statement, but he's got lots of free time as ostensibly a child. So what is something that he would do kind of around the neighborhood?
I think that he would often kind of go out into like the edges of the forest and just wander a lot, and kind of just wander like through the clearing and go off the treaded paths and all that, and he would kind of just like get all of his freaking energy out there, like climbing trees and acting all tough and whatever, and like throwing rocks at birds and stuff, like, just trying to be like I'm in charge,
I have agency here, king of the forest. And so that's where you are. You're not in a jail cell, you're not in a closet, you're in a forest and you're in charge, and everything is, you have like a rock in one hand, a stick in another hand, and a squirrel is running as fast as it possibly can away from you. And you feel kind of hit the center of your back a pine cone that, you might think had fallen from a tree, but it was launched at your back. So fallen from sideways from a tree. And you hear a voice behind you say, I thought I'd find you here.
He's going to turn around. And
it's the voice of your... It would be interesting to call her a friend. She definitely thinks of you as a friend.
Oh.
Luta.
Oh.
Who is, she's quite a bit younger than you. Well, she's like a year and a half, which in kid years is like 28 years.
Yeah.
She might as well be like an embryo. And she's relatively short, strange coloring for a tiefling. Like light hair, light kind of skin. And the only reason you know that is because of the times that you've been playing, and her like hat that she wears, like a newsboy hat type thing, which imagine a tiefling wearing a newsboy hat. A big enough hat to cover kind of her hair has come kind of ajar, and you saw it. But other than that, she's fully like ragamuffin aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like bundled up kid that is like, I carry all my clothes on me because I don't have a house looking type affair. And she's got kind of like smudgy dirt on her face, like playing, kid stuff. And
what do you want?
Well, I just wanted to hang out,
We want to hang out.
But maybe, I mean, if you don't want to, she's like looking down, kicking a rock.
No, it's fine. I was chasing a squirrel and you made me lose it.
What were you going to do, eat it?
Maybe.
She like gives you like a stupid face. She's gonna like pick up another pine cone and just kind of like bounce it up and down in her hand.
You know that you can just say my name. You don't have to throw stuff at me all the time.
But it is more fun to throw things at you.
Would you like it if I threw stuff at you?
I'm a lady.
Barely. He's gonna like run off a little bit, as in like a smiles and you can follow after me.
Yeah, she's gonna just feel like and just like take off like running after you. But she's younger, but she is reasonably shorter than you. I mean, what are you for a kid? Like how tall are you?
How old am I in this?
How long ago was it that Etheod? It was before the Apple incident. So how long ago did that happen?
6 years ago.
Okay, so
he's 16 and that happened when he was 10.
You're like 9,
Okay, he's probably like 5'4" at this point.
Okay, she's like 4 feet tall, like she's little.
Yeah.
She's 8, so she's probably look up how tall an 8-year-old is. That's how tall she is, except a little bit less. So little legs, lots of clothes, you know. And so you're kind of running away from her, and you hear behind you like the sound of a bundle of clothes encasing a girl kind of like hit the ground and go, oh, oof.
He's gonna stop and turn around. Are you alright?
And she's gonna like show you her palms, and they have like, she's fine physically.
Yeah.
She has like this hand scrapies that like sting, and she's like waving her hands back and forth.
He's gonna kind of roll his eyes and sigh and walk towards her and kneel on the ground and like take her hands and brush them off. Doesn't hurt. You're a little baby.
I'm not the baby.
Yes, you are.
No, and she's gonna like shove them in her pockets, and she's gonna, it doesn't hurt. Single
what
tear.
What are all these tears for?
You're so stupid. She's gonna like put her hand in her arm.
She's gonna kind of smile a little bit, just like amused, and just pat her head and be like, it'll be fine, your hands will heal.
Well, never mind. You can roll an insight check.
12.
Cool, she rolled a nat 20. And when she kind of like, she looks at you and she gives you this look that is kind of wise beyond her years, complex for an 8-year-old, certainly more complex than you are able to experience or whatever. But, so you're kind of like puzzled for a moment, and then she just like starts like rubbing her hands off kind of like on her shirt and just like wiping them off. And she's gonna kind of like get up and like walk away, kind of like over towards the tree, just kind of like stand like head down, like staring into the forest.
Yeah, he's kind of gonna look at her and then just go, have you eaten today?
Have you eaten today?
Well, why do you think I'm out there?
You were going to eat the squirrel.
Of course I was going to eat the squirrel.
Oh, that is so disgusting.
What do you mean? Don't you like grilled fish?
Yes, that's a normal thing to eat.
Yeah, well, it's a lot harder to catch fish than it is to catch squirrels. With a squirrel, I can just throw a rock at it. With a fish, I have to have, like, utensils and stuff.
She's, like, gonna, like, open her mouth to say something and then quickly decide that she's not gonna say it and just kind of, like, nod and be like, yep, that tracks.
What were you going to say? Were you going to say something? do you know so much about hunting?
I wasn't going to say anything. You're right. Squirrels are very easy to catch.
Do you have trouble catching squirrels?
No, I don't want to catch squirrels. Look, she's like sticking her lower lip out. Like she's like something in her body that she wants to like say and she just like can't get it out.
What do you want to say? Just say it. Or if you're going to keep being a baby about it, then at least while I go try to find more squirrels, you try to, I don't know, collect the plants around here that we could eat.
I don't want to make you upset.
Okay.
Why don't you just come live at our house? I mean,
I have a house.
with no food in it?
I mean, there's food, well, there's food for my parents. I have to bring my own food to the house.
Etheod, that's what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
I don't... Never mind. We don't have, you know... You know that she has no food at their house either. So she's like, well, catch 22. Can I come live at your house? You guys have food? And she's gonna just kind of look at you and kind of like pick up another pine cone and just like toss it at you.
He's gonna catch it.
And she's gonna like, you know, pick up another one, just like start like throwing stuff at you, you know, just like
gonna
pull,
feign to, you know, block all of it.
And so you guys are kind of like, you fall into like a weird like a kid silence, you know, where you're like, the social doesn't matter, like social conventions don't matter, we're kids. And she's like, you know that she's too young to understand your strange relationship with your parents. You're also too young really to understand it. So she's just like reacting to the stimuli of like, you know, when you hang out sometimes, which is really not even hanging out. You're somewhere doing something and she comes and finds you. She'll comment on like your stomach growling, or she'll comment on you like looking sad and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, you know, my parents, and she's like, oh, I guess, you know.
I think that he's always just like, but it's not that big of a deal because like everyone is like this, you know, so it's like, I guess I just have to learn how to deal with it.
I mean, I guess so. My parents are usually gone, so, you know.
Well, I guess at least my parents are around.
Yeah, I guess so. Do you think... She's gonna, like, lip quiver and be like, do you think they're gone because they don't love me?
Maybe. And then he's gonna keep walking forward.
You've shattered her soul. Like, the moment you say that, like, you in an anime, like, goes photo negative and there's, like, the glass crack. She's... and she just starts sobbing and like
he turns around, he's like, that was a joke, it was a joke, I'm kidding,
it's a mean joke.
Sorry, no, I'm sure that it is just because they, I don't know, have stuff to do. Sometimes my parents are gone for weeks at a time. You know, as Etheod, because you have a general background about her, you know, just stuff that kids talk about, that her parents are farmers that have been conscripted to work, like, for the clan growing food and working on one of their farms. So they're gone because they have to, like, make money. Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with that type of thing.
Yeah.
Which is something that you can kind of understand, and that she is... kind of eludes her, you know, like, because they're her parents, so she can't be logical about them. You know what I mean? She's like, if they love me, they would be here. And you're like, but how are they going to make food? She's like, they would find a way. You know, that type of thing.
I think that he's like, he kind of just sighs and he's just like, look, adults have like jobs and stuff, and your parents just happen to have one that keeps them away all the time. It's like fine, and why you have a house and stuff.
I know, but they just leave me alone, and they want me to be this thing that I don't know if I can be.
What do you mean, be this thing?
Roll D20.
6.
Okay. She's just a kid.
Mm-hmm.
She's just talking, She's just her perception of the whatever.
Yeah.
You're also just a kid.
Yeah.
That's lost on you because you're a year and a half older.
Yeah.
But that's kind of your take from when she says that. You're just like, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like walking along just like it's been like hours and stuff. And a lot of the times it's interesting, just as quickly as Luta shows up and you guys kind of do stuff and walk around and throw pine cones at each other and rub dirt in each other's face and you make her cry and stuff like that. She leaves kind of at a moment's notice and fully leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Like doesn't hang around, just will say, "Oh, I have to go now, goodbye."
Mm-hmm.
Something that's always kind of struck you as strange about her, but you don't really like her. She's she likes you.
I think one of these days, kind of reaching into his sneaky behavior, he is like, I have nothing else to do today. I'm gonna see where she goes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
And try to follow after her.
Roll a sneak.
He's not good at it yet. A 9.
You're better at it than she is at perceiving. She got a 4.
Great.
So, she's like, you've never followed her before.
Yeah.
So why would you this time? And you're kind of, the things about her that she's told you. Like she. You guys don't really talk that much about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, you talk about, like, I'm going to build a time machine, stuff that kids talk about, or, like, what if ants were big? And so, she has no reason to think that you'd follow her, because why would you never have before? Also, she gets the sense that really this is about her, like her enjoying hanging out with you and that you're just there. And so when you follow her, but you have to kind of run after her. Mm-hmm. You're much bigger than her, but she's running, and so you do have to just hasten a bit. And you follow her. You get all the way into you live reasonably far, and you're in the woods. And she has to stop a few times because she's out of breath. She's okay, and like keeps running. You see, finally, after you kind of weave your way through the outskirts of town into, like, the more residential areas through with their businesses, place that Etheod really has no reason to go unless he was going to steal. You see her, there's a tiny little break in 2 slats of wood in a fence that is behind, like, a general store. Mm-hmm. She sneaks her way through those, and it's way too small for you to be able to get through comfortably. Okay. You could try.
I'm gonna look through them first.
Okay, so as you look through them, you see on the other side, and you would know that this was there because you know the city center reasonably well. You see the palace, where the Odazer clan king lives, obviously, palace. The Odazer clan is expansionist, and so there is like a nomadic quality to the kind of outlying outer towns. Yeah. They have a lot of settlements that they've annexed, but the capital, which is where you live on the outskirts of, is stationary, obviously. However, it's not a big clan, not particularly wealthy, so the palace is sort of utilitarian. You just know it's a palace because you know things about the clan. Yeah. They have more important things to put their money towards, like killing and armies and,
Yeah.
imperialism and stuff like that. And so you're looking at your eyes kind of like follow her, and you see her sneak up to the building, up to the back door. And are you going to try and follow her?
No.
Okay.
Because I think that he's like, what the heck?
And just before she kind of pops into the back of this, like pops around the corner so that you wouldn't be able to see her anymore, you see her go to take her hat off.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only time you ever followed her. That's what you saw. Did you ever bring it up to her?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I think that, like, he's in the forest and he's, like, been thinking about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would she be there? I thought that her parents were farmers. I thought that she lived in, like what I lived in, like a nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little tiny, 2x4 or whatever. And so I think that he's like sitting at the edge of like a little creek or whatever, and he has a stick and he's just like poking the rocks and the mud and stuff and just kind of thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's one of those days where she found him.
Yeah, you're sitting there with the rocks, you're poking the rocks with a stick, and all of a sudden you feel two little hands go across your eyes.
What do you want?
Nothing. Just hi. She's gonna like take her hands away and sit down next to you.
I think that he's just gonna like kind of look at her and then stare at the water, kind of all pouty and not say anything just yet.
She's gonna like and like huff and like cross her feet and like kind of turn to face you and be like, "What?
Where do you live?"
I told you I live at the outskirts of town.
I don't think that's true, and I think that you've been lying to me. And it's not good to lie to friends.
Why do you think I've been lying to you?
I followed you the other day. I was bored. And you're not very sneaky. Why would you go to the palace?
You must have followed somebody else. Why would I go to
I'm not that dumb. I know that you call me an idiot all the time, but I'm not stupid. I know it's you I could smell you from a mile away.
Why would you say something like... She like goes to like smell her like clothes.
Oh, take a joke.
You can't do things like that. It's not fair. I don't follow you places except for when I follow you and find you and then we hang out.
Yeah, I think you do that every day.
But I'm not doing it to find out things about you.
I wasn't doing it to find out things about you either. I was just bored. You are avoiding the question.
You don't want to know the answer.
I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Her face like all red. She's like looking down, just like fully. You can see her hands are kind of like tapping together, like shaking. She's like shaking a leg. And the like parts of her ears, you can see the tips are like turning pink. And he's like, "What if I told you that? If I told you the answer, we could never hang out again."
Why would we never be able to hang out again?
Can't you just believe me this once?
No. You always find me out. I'm sure that we would be able to still hang out. Or at least you wouldn't be able to stay away. Every day I'm in here, I can guarantee that you're here.
I would have to. Roll insight.
Okay. 14.
She's a kid. She she has a skewed perception of stuff, but you have never been so sure that she believes something that she says so completely. That with every, her saying we wouldn't be able to hang out anymore, It doesn't seem like she's just trying to get you to drop it. She seems like she's not going to tell you because that would come true. Like, you can see on her face, even the idea of it is, like, so upsetting to her.
Fine. You don't have to tell me, but I'll find out. And then I just won't let you know that I found out.
She's gonna, like, stand up and just, like, walk off.
I think he just lets her.
Mm-hmm. And after that, it's a few weeks until you see her next time.
Okay.
What does Etheod think about that? Is that something that he even cares or, like, notices? Or...
I think he notices it, and I think that it makes him feel something that he's not kind of used to feeling, because I think that he accepted that it was just a part of his life that was going to happen. But I think he feels what we would know as loneliness, but I think that he's just like, what is this?
Mm-hmm. I'm always alone.
Why would I care? Why would this feel bad?
And so where are you kind of experiencing this emotion kind of off by yourself? Oh, let me give you this piece of information. Wherever you are, you feel the sting on your face still of a slap that was recently delivered to you. And it would be in the blowing off steam category.
Yeah. I think that he is probably like up in a tree on a big branch, laying down, like, one leg off, one leg up, in, bent. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of laying on his back, all sad, just staring up at the tree, like the leaves blowing in the wind. Mm-hmm. And just kind of thinking about, like, man, I wish that she were around, then I could make fun of her.
Yeah, and you can feel really, like, the wind blowing in the trees, and just, like, it'll, like, knock down a leaf, kind of hit you in the face, go across your clothes, and then just, like, it doesn't hurt. It didn't really probably hurt when it happened to you. Mm-hmm. It hurt an amount, of course, but not, the point wasn't to hurt you physically. And so that feeling is sort of, kind of really the overwhelming feeling. And you can hear, because your head is against the tree, you can hear in the tree itself the sounds of, like, a thunking on the bottom of it.
He's gonna, like, loll his head off to the side to look down.
When you look down, you see a familiar newsboy cap and set of horns and a bundle of something kind of under an arm. And you see she's not looking up at you, this mystery person. She's just thunking the tree. She knows that you're up there.
He jumps down.
Okay. When you jump down, you kind of hit the ground in front of you. She was looking down, so when you jumped down, she's like, oh my goodness.
What? You knew I was up there.
I know, but I didn't think you were going to jump down.
Oh my god, you big baby.
And you can see, like, on her face, as you look at her for the first time. What do you feel seeing her for the first time in so long?
I think that he's caught off guard by, like, the amount of happiness that he's feeling, where he's just like, or more so relief that he didn't scare her away. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why? No. I don't like that.
Do you have still, is it like face pain fully forgotten? Like,
yeah,
fully
I think so.
Okay, cool. So she looks at you, and she looks at you with just, like, radiant joy. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you feel kind of herself stepping back from that emotion. Yeah. And then being sort of like a expression sort of plastered on her face, because she's looking at you and she's looking at your face. Mm-hmm. And so she's got this kind of, like, mixture of emotions. Yeah. I mean, you could probably put together why, but if you want to roll Etheod insight to see if he can figure it out.
Yeah. 12.
It's pretty evident that she was, like, looking at you happily, and then saw the mark on your cheek. Yeah. And is still trying to look at you happily.
I think that he kind of just, like, takes his, like, sleeve and, like, wipes it on his cheek. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what do you have? Like, trying to change the subject.
Oh, look, I brought, something for us. And she opens it. She opens this satchel. And when she does, all you see is food. Food on food on food. The sound of her stomach growling and your stomach growling echoes through the forest. And it's just, everything that there's like berries and bread, and it's warm still, and the steam is rising out of the bag.
He like kind of grabs it from her and looks into it, and then looks up at her and then looks in and looks up at her, and he's like, where did you get all of this?
I told you not to ask so many questions. Are you hungry or not?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Like... And so she's gonna grab you have the bag, right? She's gonna grab it from you and grab your hand and kind of like drag you off to a more like safe yet far away part of the forest.
This is so good. The bread is so good.
No, so I'm saying you're up in a tree eating this, and you can see like, you are fully, I imagine, full Tasmanian devil mode.
Yeah, freaking devouring.
Luta is kind of looking at you with this like familiar kind of like happiness, but sort of like a wistful happiness, which is a complex emotion for an 8-year-old to show on her face, but go with me there. She's looking at you like I think that an adult would be able to hide their complex emotions, but she's a kid, so they're just fully on her face. And she has, in her arms, she's swinging her legs on this big tree, a loaf of bread in her lap that she's just like pulling pieces off of while you eat literally everything else. Yeah. Roll a insight check.
Okay. 7.
You don't really are paying any attention to the fact that she hasn't really had anything other than this piece of bread.
Okay.
And that she brought this food for you, basically.
Okay.
And so she's like polishing off this loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And kind of just like staring at kind of like you, but like eyes kind of unfocused as you just murder this bag of food.
Are you sure that you don't want to tell me where you got it from?
Yes, I'm sure.
All right.
She's gonna like throw a piece of bread at you.
He catches it with his mouth.
Yeah. Etheod's like, no, not a precious. Yeah. And she's just kind of like swinging her legs and stuff. Does Etheod save some of it for later, or is he full just like...
I think he does. I think that he like is eating so much and then he's like, oh wait, this will never happen again.
I've got to count my blessings.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, just keep it in the bag, put it away. She's quiet, you're quiet, you're quiet. Forest quiet, you hear like, beep, 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 round, the noises of the forest. And you see above you, just in the, split up by the big tree canopy, just, completely just the galaxy, just stars. And you can see them just, peeking through the tree canopy. And so the forest is light even though it is dark. And it's like comforting to you. And you're kind of in that space when she's going to break the silence and say, if something were to happen, like, if something were to happen to me...
Something were to happen to you?
Yeah, I mean, or, you know. Never mind. And she's gonna
Oh my god, you do this all the time. Just finish your sentences. If something were to happen to you, what do you even mean by that? Like if you fell out of the tree right now?
She's gonna snap her eyes at you. And
I'm not going to push you out.
Stop being so making jokes.
Fine, I'll stop being funny.
That was never a thing.
Oh, haha.
She's gonna wink at you. This 7-8-year-old, 7.5-year-old. I just mean, what if, if maybe I had to go away.
Are you moving?
No. I said if. You have to listen when I talk.
Oh, okay. A lot of time people don't ask about ifs and whens if the thing is not actually a possibility.
Well, isn't everything a possibility?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that you could ever fly.
She's gonna like look at the ground and be like, we can find out.
We are not going to try.
Anyway. If I was gone or we were separated,
Right.
you wouldn't forget about me, would you?
I think he kind of just like scrunches his eyebrows together a little bit. And he thinks back to like the relief of seeing her and probably those weeks that she was gone. I think that like anytime like a something fell out of a tree or he heard a rustle or anything, he was kind of always just like, is that no, it's not. Okay. And like but he didn't want to admit it to himself that he was kind of looking forward to seeing her. And I think that he's just kind of like wipes his mouth on the back of his hand and goes, oh, like in an instant.
You would?
I'm kidding, no. I wouldn't.
We'd still be friends, right? Even from far away?
How would we be friends from far away?
I don't know, but
Yes, we could still be friends. You would have to come and find me, though.
are you going somewhere?
No, but if you're going somewhere, maybe I won't always be here. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, there's other places in the world. Maybe I could go and see them.
She's gonna like scoot closer to you on the tree branch and she's gonna hold out just her pinky.
He's gonna look at it and be like, what are you doing?
She's like communicating with her, every part of her, like.
Yeah, he like grabs the pinky with his full hand because I think he's never done that before. And he's just like, is this what you want?
It's not romantic anymore.
Romantic, ugh. And he's gonna like take his hand away and be like, I don't want to marry you.
We don't have to get married. We can do things that other adults do, you know? A common law marriage. We could just, it's just like you are together all the time and then you like throw, like, pine cones at each other and no other girls.
I can't throw pine cones at other girls.
Why not?
Well, you just said that I can't.
So we are married?
No. Ew.
And this like conversation kind of like echoes throughout the night, and it kind of continues deep into the night.
Yeah.
Because it was already dark out to begin with. And this time when Luta like leaves, she's it is in an instant. She looks at you can see kind of like all of a sudden realization dawn on her face. And she looks at you with just pure ice and drops out of the tree and runs away before you can even, like, a second thought can occur to you.
He kind of just sits up and watches her go, like, okay.
Yeah. It was kind of like she was afraid. You could see on her face.
Yeah.
There's something about it. And there was something about that expression that you saw. You saw it again. Mm-hmm. The last time you saw her.
Okay.
When you were getting a sort of permanent makeover.
Oh no.
And these memories kind of blend together that look of fear on her face as she left you, and the look of fear as you could see just barely out of the corner of your eye, her looking on in horror. And that memory is so powerful and so visceral that you run away from it. Like, you can't even conceive of the entire memory because it's so intense for you.
I think that when he thinks of Luta, remembering her face at all is incredibly hard for him, because he's like blurred it out so much that he's just like, I don't want to remember her face looking like that. And if I remember her face at all, I know that will. Yeah.
And the last thing that you saw her do, she looked on at you. You were looking at her. The only thing, and now all you see is blankness. You just know that it's her because you know that it's her. And you were connected in that moment. Her looking at you, you looking at her, because you were the only one that she looked at. She was really the only one that you looked at. You didn't really have anybody else. And there was something there that was sustaining you as a person, not just, physically, just that one connection there. And you felt horns are hard. They're hard to get through. You felt that, and you saw her look away, and you felt her leave. And when you looked back, there was an empty spot where she was supposed to be. And from that point on in the memory, it's too intense and too much for you to bear. Besides, you're in a closet. You have to focus on the task at hand. So you wrench yourself back into consciousness, just in time to hear fingers say, hey, and remember where you are and what you're doing and who you are, and gather enough of your wherewithal to open the door and become the shadows, the few shadows is a lit room. You slide into those tiny little shadows in the corner to appear behind this man, only to find out that he absolutely has your number and stabs the wall in front of you with his dagger. What does Etheod think about that?
I think that he sees himself in the reflection of the dagger that's like in front of his face.
I love that.
And he's kind of, he makes eye contact with himself, and he's reminded of who he is, and where he's come from. And I think that he has a brief moment of like intense fear, knowing that like my life is kind of in the hands of other people again right now. I can do a little bit about it, but there's not a lot that I can do. But as he thinks about like who he is and where he's come and everything that he's endured and then come to realize isn't normal, he swallows that fear, and he just resolves in his mind, like, I can't back down now. I have something that is worth fighting for. Hopefully.
Oh, snap. You see, Etheod would be able to notice, because he knows this, under his makeup, careful disguise, the kind of swollen components of his face where him and Fingers got into a bit of a scuffle before. And he thinks to himself, I only have 4 hit points.
7.
I only have 7 hit points. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm actually fine. Ignore this part. Does he have 7 total? Like, is that his max?
7 total is his max. 6 is his current hit points. Sorry, I said 7.
So, Etheod's eyes are locked on Etheod, the silver exclamation point Etheod. In the reflection of this dagger, And it's like a Renaissance painting. This snapshot of like Yezi sort of reclined on the city couch love seat, the chair,
Something.
the piece of furniture. She doesn't know what it is anyway, as we've established. Fingers kind of crouched, sort of weirdly holding the hand of this guy, and him having buried a dagger in the wall in front of Etheod, in a semi-silent threat. The camera snaps this freeze frame, and then it flies through the air backwards through the wall of the mayor's house, through the night air, and appears behind a large jacket that is hastening down these confusing streets towards it's like the Three Kings at the light of the star. There's a big lit up house. That's where it's all going down at, and she knows that. And is she trying to be stealthy, or is like...
I don't think so. I think that she's kind of keeping to the sides of the streets. But I think she's also kind of like keeping an eye out for Lucian and like trying to see if there are any more posters, like a full poster that wasn't all crumpled and all that. Trying to hear any name being said or anything like that.
So you're reasonably distracted.
Yeah.
Sticking to the sides of the, the shadows to an extent, but still like you're listening out, all that good stuff. Go ahead, roll me a disadvantaged dex save.
Oh. 8.
Cool. So, you're distracted.
Yeah.
Your attention is pulled elsewhere. And then suddenly you feel the top of your foot catch on an outstretched something black. You're in the shadows anyway, so it's difficult to see.
Okay.
And you are encumbered with various bizarre clothing options.
Yeah.
Reasonably tired and addled from your time that you've been having. And you feel yourself... it's a cool evening. All of a sudden it gets cooler as the wind starts whipping past you while you make your way quickly to... the cobblestone streets, and you feel the cool of the cobblestones, even through the sleeves of the coat as you kind of hit the ground.
Yeah.
Does Tavumile? I'll let you decide this. Does Tavumile get hurt? Does she hit her head? Anything like that? Like, was she that distracted?
No. I think that she is used to falling.
Okay.
I think she falls pretty often to the point that she is like
That's
practiced.
The funniest answer to that question. No, because she just does it a lot. It's like, I guess so. And as you are licking your wounds on the ground, the thing that you tripped over retracts ever so slightly.
She's gonna look at it.
And you're just looking at that. You hear a voice say, "Why don't you watch where you're going?"
She's gonna look at whoever that is.
Cool. Who does she think it could be? Does she think it could be someone?
No. I think that she's just like another person.
Roll a perception check.
Okay. 16.
Okay. The voice does sound a bit familiar.
Okay.
Just a bit, though.
She's gonna look at their face.
Okay, so Tavumile hits the deck, hears this voice, looks at the whatever it was that she tripped over. The figure retracts. It is a leg that is fully clad in black. And you can, as she kind of looks up, she feels wafting into her purview the smells that she's familiar with, especially from earlier today, of alcohol, but also the smell of scented smokes. Mm-hmm. She smells like ash and burning.
Okay. Are you a bottle stopper?
You say that before your eyes kind of reach his face.
Yeah.
And as you say that, you say that right before your eyes kind of meet his face, and you see staring back at you. It's strange. You feel like you have a guess as to what this person could be, but they look sort of vague. It's dark, and you've just fallen. So for a split second, you think that there's a chance that you could know this person.
Okay.
And as you kind of like look into this person's face, you can see that he's got light blue skin. And just sort of scars.
Okay. Oh, jeez.
All over his face.
Oh, never mind. You don't look like him.
So when you say, are you a bottle stopper?
Yeah.
As Tavumile's eyes are kind of like focusing on his face in the darkness, you hear the voice kind of bark a laugh and go, I'm about as far from that as you could get.
She's gonna stand up and look at him, kind of like scrunching her face. And then she's gonna cock her head a little bit. And she's gonna reach her hand out and just like hold it in front of his face. And does it feel cold?
When you cock your head to the side, before you reach your hand out, you cock your head to the side. He cocks his head too. But when he does that, he smiles. And you roll an insight check.
Okay. 4.
He's probably as happy to see you as you are to see him.
Okay.
You're looking at him interested. He's like, oh, this is a new face.
Yeah.
Nothing nefarious about maybe his intentions.
Great.
You say you reach your hand out kind of like in front of his face.
Yeah, not to touch him, but just to be close enough to feel if he's emitting some kind of coldness. Because I think the only other light blue person she's ever seen is Lucian.
Yeah. So when you do that, you have to get closer to him than you were before. So you stand up and you kind of walk over towards him.
Yeah.
And when you do that, he's going to kind of like, he was hunched over, kind of leaning over. He has like, you can see glowing in the night, the burnt end of a cigarette kind of like sticking out from behind his ear.
Yeah.
And he's going to kind of like sit up straight and kind of push his back up into the wall, kind of to be like, this is not typically the cutest reaction. And when you go to put your hand up kind of in front of his face, he's going to reach out and grab your wrist.
Okay.
And so you feel maybe if it's a cool night anyway, if you squint, that might be what's going on. And all of a sudden your wrist is enveloped in like an icy cold grip. And
you are.
I'd be careful, love. I'll bite.
Oh, that's all right. I just wanted to know if you were a winter eldrin, and I think that you are.
He's like looking at you, like a toy, like a novelty. Like this is sure something that's happening. And you can really smell now the alcohol and smoke.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's gonna like kind of absentmindedly reach into his pocket, and you can hear the clinking of metal as he does something weird.
Can I make a perception check?
Yeah, you can make a perception check.
13.
You've heard knives make sounds before. But he's just kind of like got his hand in his pocket in that general area. He's got one hand kind of on your wrist, and he kind of pulls his hand away from you, and you say, "Are you a wintered eldrin?" And he's gonna like raise an eyebrow with like pure amusement, and just like, "What's it to ya?"
Oh, well, my best friend is a winter eldrin, and I've actually hardly ever met any other ones. Usually it's a lot of summer elegans around here.
When you say like, oh, my best friend's a winter elegant, and he's like, it seems to be the theme of the evening.
Oh, elegans.
You know, I've heard so much about winter elegans tonight.
Me too. But honestly, I wish that I heard more about it, or at least saw more than you. Not to be mean or rude or anything. You seem like a person, but
You can feel his grip kind of tightening on your wrist.
yeah,
as you
I
say
think that she's kind of looking at it, and she's like,
I should be going now. Huh?
But I do wish that you were a different winter elegant.
A different one. You can hear kind of like the clinking stop as you hear the sound of like a metal against leather kind of feeling.
Yeah.
As he like brings his arm kind of up with something in his hand. You say, I wish you were a different winter elegant. And he was like, yes, everybody seems to be looking for that. What's his name this evening?
Lucian.
That's right. Yeah, you know.
Have you seen him?
You too, huh? No, I haven't seen him. And he's gonna like stretch with the hand with the knife in it, but he's still holding tightly on to your like one hand. And he's like, no,
Can
maybe.
you let go?
I let go
of my wrist.
Of the bird what tripped over me when I was just trying to have a bit of a lie down in the street.
Well, I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
He's like pulling your wrist kind of close to him, and he's like getting his face up in your face. I bet you wish I was the guy who burned down that girl's farm now.
Well.
How do you know I'm not him? Huh?
Well, you don't act like him. And also, I know that he would recognize me, so...
You said you're his friend?
Right.
He's gonna, like, burp, like a drunk burp.
She's gonna, like, kind of pull her head back a little bit, just like, this is weird.
You're the friend of that lad what yet Vane was sent to kill?
Who? Wait, I'm sorry, kill? I don't really know anything of what's going on. I do just wish to find him, though.
Well, you know. I, definitely can't help you there, or anybody else who's asked me tonight. And he's, like, looking around at people who are like, what the frick is going on
who
over there?
Who asked you about it tonight?
Well, everyone, you know, thinks I'm his, you know, I'm him or something.
Oh, because you look similar.
I suppose we all look the same, love. And he's gonna, like, get really nasty in your face about it.
Well, I don't think that I look like you. I mean, we're the same race and all, but I think that I look a little bit more, I don't know, green. I don't have blue skin. And also, I'm a girl.
He's gonna, like, throw the knife in the air and catch it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that she's just so, like, unbothered by that.
Mm-hmm.
I think because she's, like, the idea of somebody using weapons on another person isn't super crystallized in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, I think that it could be read as, like, she is fearless or, like, confident, but it's more so she is ignorant.
Uh-huh. So he's kind of like pulling you sort of in toward, like, at first your hand was kind of outstretched, and now he's kind of pulling. In order to grab your hand, he had to kind of stretch his arm out too. Not as far, just because he is tall, but and now he's pulling your wrist kind of into him and kind of sticking his face in your face, he's like in your face, and he's just like, well, I wish he had killed him. Lad's caused me quite a bit of trouble tonight.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't say that. I really hope that he isn't.
Do you? And he's gonna take the knife that he had flipped in his hand. It was thumb up, point down.
Yeah.
He flipped it to thumb up, point up, and he's gonna stick it right underneath your chin.
Oh.
I do wish you'd fight back. Make it a bit more interesting for me.
You're one of the bad people, aren't you?
He's gonna, like, stick it in closer. He's like, yeah, I'm one of the bad people. You have one chance to do anything.
She is going to cantrip poison spray him.
Okay.
And be like, well, I'm sorry. And then just
splash in his face. What is it?
You have to make a Constitution saving throw or take 1d12 poison damage.
Okay.
My spell save DC is 12.
Okay. Well, what happens if, hypothetically, he passes the save?
Nothing. He doesn't take any damage. It doesn't even say the half damage.
So you, like, splash him in this face. What does the potion look like that you use?
I think that when it gets opened up, this smell of, like, like smelling salts. How, yeah. I think that kind of, like, starts emitting from it, and then when it gets splashed onto somebody, you get, like, hit with this, like, intense, like filling your brain smell, like you can't think of anything else, and it's like I think it's like brown, like a kind of brown, like viscous fluid. Okay.
So you uncork this when you just, like, hit him in the face with it, just like pure splash. As you do that, so you splash it in his face, and his eyes were open the entire time. And as you splash it in his face, you see him barely react to it ever so slightly. And it's so in his face that you can see it in his eyeballs. It's like glistening in his open eyes. And kind of pooling in the rivulets of the scar in his face. Mm-hmm. And he's going to say, as he pushes the dagger in just slowly further, "You're going to have to do better than that, love."
Why are you doing this?
And before he has a moment to answer, he looks at you and then just, and screams.
Okay.
And you're grabbed by him. He fully lets go of your hand, fully just reaches down, and he pulls his leg back that was outstretched on the ground. You hear behind you, "Oh, wow, I did it. I did it. I was useful. Oh my God. For the first time." I can't believe it. Oh,
she's gonna whip around.
And he's like does like a deep breath in, and he like sees you and like meets your face, and he like puts his arms out and is like, "Well, I want to make sure she was consenting to a hug."
And she's gonna like grab it, like full bear hug.
Yeah, like
I was looking for you. I didn't know that you were looking around here.
You were looking for me. And he's gonna pick you up and like spin you around, and you just hear in the background, "Oh, my bloody leg. Goodness gracious." Oh, just like full, like, not about it. And things like, "I can't believe it. It actually worked. I didn't think it was going to. And you said it was going to be so dangerous. But it worked, and you're here, and he's gonna,
Wait,
like...
why were you looking for me?
Why was I looking for you?
I was looking for you because I know that you know about town, and I'm trying to find Lucian, and you don't know who Lucian is, but Lucian is one of my friends."
Roll a perception check.
Unnatural 20.
Okay. Not only does Thalen know who Lucian is, but there is something that is desperately wrong. There is a problem.
Wait, you don't know who Lucian is, right?
Nope. Never heard of him. I mean, I've seen the flies around, but he's never been in.
I feel like I've been having to say this a lot lately. Lying isn't a good thing to do to friends.
I've never seen his face, and we've never...
She, like, looks at him with such, like, sadness.
He's never been to my house, and he's never yelled at me and been racist, and he's never been
So you have met
kidnapped.
him? You have met him? He doesn't like high elves?
Certainly he's never been kidnapped, and I've never known about him being kidnapped. Oh, my bloody leg. Oh, goodness gracious, I did not drink enough tonight. Clearly. Oh, well, it looks like two of you are going to die tonight, and you hear this guy,
I think that we need to get out of here.
Get up. And Thalen is going to kind of like, he's like looking at, like, he like kind of steps in between, just like gut reaction. Mm-hmm. He steps in between you, and this guy. He's going to say, I heard you. You were going to say her name, weren't you? You were going to say Yezi, Vane. What's it to you? I know her. I don't know if that would endear you to our cause, but if you could please not kill us tonight, we have quite a lot going on. We're friends or something, I'm not sure.
Balin, I'm really confused as to what's happening.
Friends with Yezi? You know her name, even. Yes.
I don't know Yezi. I don't.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We all know her. We're all thick as assassins. She's helping us find him. It seems that, anyway, so the point is, you know her, you presumably you work together, co-workers. Please don't, kill us now. Well, listen, if you know Yezi, you know, well, you know, a friend of Yezi's a friend of mine, Sparky, and he's gonna, like, step forward on his uninjured leg and, like, stick a hand out, like a big gloved hand out, and, Thalen's gonna look at it and be like, yes, well, so, as long as you're not going to pursue us and kill us, or anything of that nature, we're going to see ourselves out of here. Why leaving so soon?
Well, because you're rather mean, and I think that you were trying to kill me, which...
and he's gonna, like, put a hand on his chest. May, I think your friend Sparky here almost broke my leg.
Well, to be fair...
you were trying to... Enough! It hurt so bad. And listen, I wasn't even going to hurt the girl. I was just going to maybe, you know, stab her a few times, leave her for dead.
Isn't that, like,
it's similar.
Somebody?
It's similar to hurting some...
Right.
It's similar to that. Anyway, so...
I don't... Can somebody explain to me what's going on?
Listen, I'm always down to help. I'm always down... He was fully going to say something else. I'm always down to help Yezi. She's in a bind. You're looking for, you know, you're going to help her with a contract or something. She needs some help. What do you mean specifically? Well, you know, why else would you looking for him? It seems to me like the whole world wants to kill him.
I'm sorry. And she's going to, like, go into between them and, like, have her hand up and be like... Can somebody please explain to me what's going on? I've been not told a lot of information, and now I'm trying to piece it together, and I'm not that smart.
Thalen is gonna look at you and look at this guy and say, we're not looking for him to kill him.
Are we talking about Lucian?
And both Thalen and this mystery guy are gonna turn to you and say, Yes. At the same moment.
Thalen, you just said that you didn't know him.
I don't know him. I mean, I don't. I mean, I know. Who are we talking about again? I'm really not sure at this point, but listen, I'm here. You know, hail, do whatever you gotta do. If you know Yezi, you know... She needs help with something she knows that I've got her back, as to say. So, is there anything I can help you with? No.
You're a thief? Is that right? Do they call you tea leaf sometimes?
No. Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Do you know any thieves?
Yeah, I know a few.
Do you know one, his name is Fingers?
Oh, she's always banging on about that lad. What's he doing this time?
You do know a Fingers.
bat his long eyelashes at you too. Pfft, I've seen him before. He's not that impressed. You can't even see his face. And he's like leaning up against. Y'all are making a little bit of a scene because of how weird this interaction is. There are people like, what the frick? And he's like leaning up against the shadow. You can't even see his face. How could he charm anybody?
Well, he's rather nice.
She's too good for him. That's what's going on.
Oh, does Yezi like fingers?
Well, yeah, you know.
I mean, I guess that doesn't really matter, because all that matters to me is that I was hoping that I could find fingers too, because I found Thalen, and that I know Thalen.
Thalen's
also,
gonna, like, tip his hat.
she's gonna turn the thing, but also, I'm sorry, I know that I promised about the date for tomorrow at 10:01 a.m., but unfortunately, I don't think that that's going to be able to happen.
No, I completely understand. I mean, I think that given the circumstances, there are other things that have to don't even know to be safe for you.
Right.
And you can see he's like swallowing something deep inside of him.
Right. But
He's
anyways,
in love with everybody. Hey, does anyone want to go on a date with me?
well, you're rather mean. I think that maybe you need to look a little bit inside of yourself and fix that before.
He's gonna like bow. He's gonna bow like the way a shambling corpse would bow. Just like completely, he's drunk and maybe his leg is broken. And maybe, I don't know what else. And he's gonna kind of lean forward and he's gonna say, nice. You want me to be nice, buttercup?
My name's Tavumile.
I'll show you nice. And he's gonna push a door open behind him, like an alleyway, you know, little assassin's quick getaway type thing. And Thalen is gonna look at him and look at you and be like, look, it's not safe for you at the ball. I assume, yes, that is where Fingers is.
But you know Fingers?
Yes, we all know Fingers. Do you like him as well? No, I don't like Fingers. I hate that sentence coming out of my mouth. That's not the point. He's there. He's trying to find Lucian. He's trying to find him.
Why is he trying to find Lucian?
Because he is in a bit of a bad way.
Fingers?
No, Lucian. He's like, starts hitting him, like, hits him some of the head.
She's gonna, like, take his hands and hold them and look up at him and be like, if you would just take a moment to explain to me, Lucian was really good at that. He always knew, like, a quick way of how to explain something that I didn't understand. If you could do that, figure out how to do that, because I really don't know what's going on, and I don't know how you know Lucian, and how Fingers knows Lucian, and how you know Fingers. And I feel like a lot of people know a lot of things that I don't know.
Well, by all means, let's have this conversation in the middle of the street. And
right.
You hear... I love this game. You hear, like, rumbling, crumbling, bumbling noise. And Thalen turns to look over his shoulder. And Hale was already looking. Does Tavumile turn to look as well? It's a familiar sound to you.
Yes. I think that she, like, notices them looking, and she also goes to look.
Mm-hmm. There's a carriage. A very official, fancy, schmancy looking carriage that you have seen before that had, it was empty.
Okay.
When you saw it.
Actually, I think that we should maybe go somewhere. And then she, like, makes Thalen stand in front of her.
And Thalen is gonna look at the carriage and, so it's Thalen, Tavumile, Hale, the open doorway.
Yeah.
Thalen is gonna be like looking at the carriage and looking at the doorway, and Hale has the door open, is just waggling his eyebrows, and he's just like, "Oh, come on, take a walk on the wild side, Sparky. What's the worst that can happen?"
Well, maybe we could die.
And he's gonna give you like the most, like, he's gonna like take a peep at the carriage and raise an eyebrow to be like, "Could die anyway."
I guess you're right.
And Thalen's gonna take a look at, like, he, like, looks at all of the options, and he's gonna turn, and as this is all going, the carriage is rumbling towards you. People are looking at the carriage. You're already kind of causing a bit of a scene. And he's gonna say, okay, just for a moment, and he's gonna like usher you kind of like, but in the way that the gentlest gentleman would. Like, he's just like, I'm not gonna push you. I've never pushed another human. And so he's just like making space for you to walk.
Okay.
And Hale is just kind of looking like he's basically you're walking underneath his arm.
Yeah.
And so does Tavumile allow that to happen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you guys both go into this doorway, and Hale is gonna kind of barely slink around it, but he's very discreet, hopefully, because he's the only one that they would have been able to see.
Yeah.
He's a little unsteady. The leg, and then also the drunk, and then also his general way about him. And so he's a little clunky when he goes back in, but the clunkiest way that a shadow could be. You know, he's fully just one with the darkness. He slinks inside behind you and shuts the door just as the carriage goes past. Tavumile, please roll a perception check.
Okay.
I'll let you roll with advantage.
15.
You can see into the window of the carriage. It's like a window with a like drapes drawn type thing, but there's like an internal light inside of the carriage. And so you can see silhouetted in it a single silhouette of a single person. A man, a high elf male, is all the information that you are going to get.
Okay.
Before Tavumile is enveloped into shadow.
Okay.
Your absolute darkness. It's not even, there's no light, zero light source in this place. And you hear a voice go, well, no friends. Shuk. The lighting of a match.
Okay.
The lighting of a cigarette. And then, let's talk shop. And all you see is Hale's big spooky face lit up by a match and then just the tiniest ember of a cigarette end.
And I think that he hears Tavumile go, I'd rather not talk about shops. I would like to talk about what's happening tonight.
Hale and Thalen give each other like sidelong glances. I can see this is going to be uphill work. The camera disappears from this area.
Am I getting a new character?
I don't know. The camera disappears from this area. Kind of flies through the air, past the ball, past the crowds of people to the outskirts of town. Still within the wall, because it's walled in town, but extremely at the very practically touching the wall.
Okay.
Extremely outskirts of town, where it's not that there are slums, it's just abandoned buildings.
Okay.
Buildings that were abandoned because of their disrepair, disrepute, and buildings in which nefarious dealings frequently take place under the, under the nose of the extremely just potent and virile coppers which populate Waypoint Town. And would you like to tell me what it is you're doing in there? Whoever you are?
Yeah. So I'm in just like one of the abandoned houses, or just like in the slums?
It's like a warehouse that you're in. Fully, every building on this block and nearby blocks is abandoned.
Okay.
Complete disrepair. And the only thing that you know is that you are there and you just woke up. That's the only information.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are you freaking doing there, you freaking weirdo?
I think that I'm just there because that's where I tend to stay. I'm just like, this is what I call home, baby. A couple crates with a some straw on it.
That's all you need,
That's all
really.
I need.
Other these people with their
It's nice.
beds, and their food. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I need cobwebs.
Yeah.
So you wake up, middle of the night, weird time to wake up, strange time.
I had a lot going on.
Oh yeah, what did you have going on today?
Yeah, just a lot of walking around, selling newspapers, trying to at least. Nobody seems to care about the news at all. Whittling some, figurines badly. End up getting a splinter.
It's funny because, selling newspapers, whittling, stuff like that. There's other people who do those things, and they, can find their way in shelters and stuff like that. What is it about abandoned warehouses that makes you feel so at home?
Reminds me I got free will. I could do whatever I want. Yeah, I could stay where everyone else stays, be like everyone else. Kind of just want to do my own thing.
Yeah, you're a free thinker.
Yeah, free thinker.
I wonder what made you feel that way. Anyway, you wake up. You're rubbing the sleepies out of your eyes. Interesting time to wake up. And you all of a sudden you realize that you've woken up because you can hear something weird.
Like, kind of drowsily look around.
Mm-hmm. You hear... Will you stop bloody struggling?
What?
And the sound of a door slamming shut. But with his restraint, it was hard to open, and I'm angry and trying to be quiet. There's a very tight and tense sound to it. And you hear... and, strong inhale through something, and then somebody else say, "Restrain yourself. One more strike and we just might finish the job."
I'm gonna peek around the freaking crates I was sleeping on to see what's going on. What's up?
It is not happening in a place that you can see from where you are.
Okay.
You would have to get up and go there. So you're kind of on the second floor of this abandoned warehouse. And it's a warehouse, so there's a big kind of open area.
Yeah.
And you're in one of the rooms on the second floor, so you'd have to make your way kind of to this balcony that overlooks that area.
Okay, I'll do that.
Cool. So as you're walking down there, you hear someone say, "It's not safe to stop here. Stop it!" And a thunk noise.
Yeah.
And you hear that second voice again say, "We have no choice. There are too many people around. We just have to hold in here. It's been abandoned for years. Search the house. I'll notify the major."
Okay.
And you make it to just right around the corner, right before you'd be able to see this scene. And that's where we're gonna end this
Oh
episode.
my god, dude! What the fuck? What the absolute fuck?
There's a lot going on in this here show.
Yeah.
A lot of, threads I'm yanking on.
Dude, the amount of timelines that you have to keep track of is insane.
Yep, I know. I'm trying to make it feel like a real world with real people.
And you're doing phenomenal.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, we're all moving in a direction.
Oh my
at our own
god.
pace.
Freaking Hale, man.
What?
Scary guy.
Spooky guy, that Hale. I was so glad that I was just I have to have introduced him and not this moment. I don't want this to be the moment where he's introduced, because I want you to know about him a bit.
Yeah.
And so I was just he's gonna be right at the top, and then we're gonna circle back to him later, Yeah,
Tav was so freaking over it. She's just like, somebody tell me what's going
happening?
on, please.
Friggin', I was so glad that because I was just like, if they do not incorporate Thalen into the plan, he is gonna strike out on his own, and he did. So that went better than it could have. Because I really gotta say, I did think you were gonna be like, and then Thalen, you can do this. And when you were literally just like, we don't have anything for you to do, I was like, baller. He's gonna do some
Helped
stuff.
myself.
I wonder I wonder why he knew right where to look for Tavumile. Anyway, see you the next episode of Nat 2. Bye.
Bye.